Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps has it all. The history, the speed, the elevation changes, the prestige. Spa encapsulates a time when racetracks were built to follow the land and challenge both man and machine. The Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car is up to that challenge, and nearly 100 NARL drivers stand ready for a chance at victory. Hi, and welcome to PitStopTV in the virtual Spa. I'm Andrew Cardinal IV with JP Costa, and JP, just how much does winning at Spa mean to racing drivers, even if only on a sim like iRacing?
It means a lot. Winning any race, doesn't matter if it's on a sim, or on real life, it means a lot, especially when you're at a track like this, like Spa, Monza, even Silverstone, I guess you can mention, one of those, historical racetracks that we have throughout the history of motor racing. It feels good, and especially when you're in such a good field, such a competitive field like NARL, it's gotta feel even better. So I'm pretty sure each and every single one of the drivers that we have here today, Andrew, are gonna be pushing to the limits and beyond to make sure they stand a chance at conquering the mighty Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps.
Yeah, I think this is definitely, it's one of those tracks, not necessarily bucket list tracks, but it's in that same kind of category, I would say. This is definitely one of those racetracks that everybody wants to win at, everybody feels very passionately about, and wants to make sure obviously succeed at. And that's the goal whenever you come to any racetrack, but especially Spa. There's just some kind of extra heavy weight in the air that drivers, they want to perform here. They want to do everything they can to win at a venue like Spa. Let's go down to the sim. Let's check out first the track map here for Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. I think we all know it pretty well, but here it is. Of course, you head down to La Source for turn number 1, and then up the hill, up Eau Rouge, up over Radillon, which is the actual crest there, and then you head down the Kemmel Straight. And JP, that opening sequence, there's so much to it, even though it's so simple. There's a hairpin and a couple of twisty bits when you look at it here on the track map, but it's so much more complicated than that, isn't it?
Absolutely, it's tricky to get the get the braking zone to La Source right. You can take it on a number of different lines depending if you're qualifying the race, battling, or by yourself. And obviously Eau Rouge and Radillon, those are tricky corners, and they're so satisfying to get it right every single time, especially when you're pushing to the edge. And then you come to the Kemmel Straight, a nice breathing room for yourself. La Combe, turn 6, 7, and then you come to Bruxelles, and then No Name, and then you start getting to the fast section of the race course.
Yeah, when you head out of No Name, which, by the way, some of this is getting reprofiled in the new updates to Circuit de Spa that were made over the winter, but we don't know when those are happening on iRacing, so you might see some things change soon. No Name is one of those corners that I know is being reprofiled for MotoGP, but the way it stands, there is not much runoff there, and you need to carry a lot of speed through there. And that might change, in the coming years on iRacing and certainly in real life, but at the moment, on iRacing anyways, we still don't have any kind of runoff out of No Name, which presents the issue of getting down to Pouhon as quickly as possible. And also, of course, in these cars without ABS, getting on the binders for Pouhon, getting on the brakes, and slowing the car down just enough to hold it at the limit of the downforce and the limit of the mechanical grip together. That's going to be tough. Pouhon is always just kind of that way through 10 and 11. Of course, that puts you down to Lafayette, and Lafayette, I think, is one of the first chances to breathe on the course, JP. You've gone through, of course, La Source, the clinch moment, let's just be honest, at the start of the race with that hairpin, and then up Eau Rouge and Radillon, which is so scary in a pack. If you get to La Combe and the top of the hill through Malmedy and Bruxelles, really, your first chance to breathe is Lafayette. You get down to the bottom of the course and just a chance to get through some normal corners, it feels like, before you head back to the start-finish line.
Oh, absolutely. That section of the racetrack, as you mentioned, gives you a bit of breathing room, but you cannot be too easy because we know how difficult and how tricky the off-tracks are and how unforgiving they are. And especially on turn 13, it's really easy to get an off-track on the exit by just being a few millimeters too wide. And then obviously you have the whole back straightaway, essentially from turn 15, the exit of 15, the exit of Stavelot, up to, the bus stop chicane is pretty much all flat out. It has to be flat out on qualifying or race pace, so you kind of get, a little bit, relaxed. And obviously, bus stop, Andrew, we know how tricky the braking zone is, especially with no ABS. It can be really tricky. It can be really easy to lock up your brakes, but it can also be a really good overtaking opportunity.
checking in at about 4 1/3 mile, just about 7 kilometers. In fact, I think that's a little bit under what it actually is, about 7 kilometers here at Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. Let's go ahead and check on the weather before we get to standings today. You can see 63 degrees in the air, 63.7 technically. That's pretty chill. That's pretty cool. That's 65 degrees in the track. That is as cold as you can make it here on iRacing. So definitely feeling the Belgian morning air as we get ready to go racing. Of course, our amateur race up first. Let's go ahead and check on the amateur point standings. Agustin Castro leading the way, 2 wins in the season, no surprise there. Brian Zinn, 8 points back. Alex Persian, 9 points back. And then, look at that, Aubrey Kundal, T. Gashburn, the next 2 bats without a win. Max Tankerell there in 6th. Ilya Speaker, I think a couple of very notable drivers themselves. Bobby Flack, Diego Eda, and William Coffey round out your top 10. And then you get, I think, kind of a mixed bag on the right side of the screen, JP. Guys who have had some really good races, guys who have had some really poor races, and things in between. And it's not necessarily of their own doing. It's just the results that have, impacted their scores.
Oh, absolutely. We all know, in racing comes down to luck and obviously your own results as well. And, some of these drivers that are on the bottom end of the top 20 or just outside the top 20, they still have a long way to come in the championship. And with the points, Andrew, being so close, it really rewards the drivers, that are pushing to be as consistent as possible. And if you have, just a bit, an off week, you just got caught up in an accident, that can happen to your competition as well. So keeping your head up high and keeping yourself, consistent, it's going to be key to make sure you're not only on this front page, the top 20, but also fighting for extra positions.
So that's a look at the amateur standings. We will take a look at the Pro and Pro-Am standings in just a little bit for the Pro-Am race, but for now, practice coming to a close. Let's take a look at the schedule right quick before we go any further, since qualifying is about to begin. You can see Hockenheim Ring, Daytona, Long Beach, Hungara Ring. That got things kicked off. That was our first half of the football game, if you will, the first half of the game. Now, these guys are able to come back out of the locker room, refresh, ready to go, and get back after it for 4 weeks of racing, 3 weeks in a row, then 1 off week before we head to Austria for the Red Bull Ring, Spa, Charlotte, Road Atlanta, and, as I mentioned, the Red Bull Ring to cap things off. Spa and Road Atlanta feel very, what's the word here, JP? Very normal. Well, maybe even Spa and Red Bull Ring over Spa and Road Atlanta. Red Bull Ring and Road Atlanta could go either way. They could be very chaotic, they could be very normal. They are both, I think, more traditional circuits. Obviously, the oddball out here is race number 6, Charlotte Motor Speedway on the Roval next week. That is going to be the final real big test for these guys, I think, and certainly the final real big test of attrition for this season. That's when things are going to set in, and we're going to start to really have a championship picture.
Oh, absolutely. And Charlotte could really shape up a lot of things. Obviously, the championship is going to change, race in and race out. But Charlotte, with the nature of, the Roval, Andrew, it's going to be crazy. Obviously, you mentioned Road Atlanta and Red Bull Ring. They can both go their ways. It's still a lot of fun to race on those circuits. I would love to be in the shoes of these drivers. But, yeah, I cannot wait to see how the championship will look after this week and after next week. Because then the final 2 races, knowing all you need to do is just push to catch up the driver ahead.
Let's check out some drivers on the racetrack for qualifying, getting their opening lap set. I don't think anybody's started their flying lap just yet. We saw Diego Eda. Now here's a look at Stephen Gabowski. How about William Love in car 67 for Sim Racing for Simpletons? Of course, these are all of your AM drivers. You'll see their yellow number boards on the sides of their cars and even the nose of their cars in some cases. There's Sean Patterson in car 54. Jean Kroom is out there in car 45, and we're going to see a mix of drivers, I think, succeed here today. There's already plenty of drivers in Pro-Am looking at maybe getting some extra spots in Pro, rather, in the overall standings in our second race later on. But I think even in this amateur race, it feels like there's almost 2 classes of amateur drivers, and I think those guys that maybe are a little bit lower but have more laps here, they're looking at this as an opportunity, JP, to go up and get those points that they need to, revive their seasons.
Absolutely, and this being a track that invites a lot of overtaking, especially with the long straightaways, those drivers that are suffering a bit with the point standing, as you can say, they can afford to be more aggressive. They can afford to push a little bit more of those boundaries. So we might see, as you mentioned, the 2 classes of drivers. We can say, the top drivers, not top drivers, but the front drivers we're kind of used to seeing. they could allow themselves, to just fuel save, tire save, a little bit if they so do need it. Obviously, we're not going to see strategy out here, but we might see the guys, that want to pick up those points to be more aggressive, to go for more aggressive moves instead of just waiting out until the final few laps of the race.
Just taking some looks throughout the field, here's Ryan Kerr in car 888. Agustin Castro, how about him? 2 wins in the season, looking pretty good. Looking like he's absolutely the favorite, but he's not out of the woods, both literally and figuratively, as he plunges into the woods down the Kemmel Straight. He's only 8 points clear of Brian Zinn, 9 points clear of Alex Persian, and that's with 1 drop week figured in. So this is where things start to get tight. And obviously, at this point, if you've used your drop, if you've already had a bad race and you have another, maybe you're not in the cards for this championship. But if you still have that race in the bank, you can still use your drop week comfortably. Well, this is when really your hopes start to come alive. Into the back half of the season, you start to really think about that championship, start to make pictures of it in your head, and you start to imagine that trophy sitting on your shelf. So you just got to, I think, control some expectations, but also take advantage of every opportunity that comes your way. We're going to start to see some big moves throughout the course of these races, and I like how you touch on the overtaking opportunities here at Spa. There are quite a few of them, and they're going to get used tonight. Agustin Castro is going to have to use as many of them as possible, unless he starts on pole, in which case he's going to have to, defend as many of them as possible. We'll see how things go. A good look here at car 014. How about Todd Malik, one of the Samsoid drivers? I think that's been really good this season, and hey, honestly, JP, this guy could be on the verge of a win. I don't know. There's a few drivers out there in this amateur field that I feel like are very, very close to just getting up there and having the race they need to take checkered flag.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm pretty sure each and every single driver that's here has an opportunity. Obviously, some drivers are closer to others in pace, so I'm just hoping, I guess you can say, seeing an underdog kind of winning a race. I guess you can call them that. As Todd Malik, does he go quickest? Yes, he goes by a 1/10 of a second. So there you go, already setting a good first lap. Only time to improve. Armando Bejarano beats him by less than a 1/10 of a second as well. So quite close to the top. You can see even just Pierre Thompson 1/10 behind. So really close. Divock as well, less than a 1/10. So yeah, some of those underdogs, Andrew, they could be coming alive at Spa.
And this is somebody I really want to watch. Dre Divock as Ryan Kerr goes pole. That's big. Ryan has not raced yet this season. You can see he doesn't have a number board or graphic on our tickers. Dre gets a little bit off track. That's certainly going to invalidate this lap time. But Divock is actually teaming to 2-time winner on the season, Agustin Castro. And I really look for this to be a race where Divock is maybe able to shine a little bit. Hockenheim is still pretty new to the service, and Garring is still very new to the service. Daytona and Long Beach certainly can go literally either way for any driver. This is somewhere that, Spa's been on iRacing for years. Most of these drivers have got to have plenty of experience here. This could be where maybe a teammate to Agustin Castro is able to really shine, and I think Divock might be the guy.
Yeah, definitely. With the pace and qualifying, obviously, currently sitting in 4th place, but it could be his, it could be his race. Obviously, Andrew, I guess Spa might be, the circuit that the drivers are most used to in the calendar so far. Obviously, yes. Spa is used in many categories. You can even say F1, Mazda, and MX-5. So it's really easy for the driver to be, accustomed and comfortable at Spa. So we could see a few of these drivers, excelling, and Divock might definitely be one of them. And I mean, even Mike Braun as well.
Here's a look at Mike Braun, car 107, just about a half second off of pole. Brian Zinn following up just behind, and this 23 car could also be a winner today. Already has a win on the season. Wouldn't that shake up the standings a little bit if he's able to go up there and get another win and keep Agustin from getting a 3rd win? There's so many different storylines that could play out today, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what does pan out. And, we theorize. It's our job to sit here and theorize and think about what might happen, JP, but we're not going to know what's going to happen until it happens, right? There's only so much we can do of sitting here and kind of wondering and trying to predict, as here's Armando Bejarano into the bus stop for the back end of lap number 2 for his run. Pretty quick so far, 3rd quickest actually. Just about 2/10 off of pole. Can he get that extra time? No, not quite. It's going to be a 2:20.884. And that is, we're looking for a 2:20.413 if we want to unseat Ryan Kerr from pole. Where is Ryan Kerr on the racetrack? Oh, there it is. Agustin Castro up to the top of the board, a 2:20.108.
So there you go, already setting 0.3 of a second faster than Kerr. So a really good lap by Agustin Castro. Kind of what we expected, isn't it, Andrew? Just seeing the number 14 car on the top of the standings. Obviously, it's a big challenge to keep that lead by the end of lap 1, especially with this straightaway, and that was, I guess, optimistic through Radion on the exit. That was really close to being a corner cut, but so far, qualifying pace as well. I can see Castro has it laid down. Now we're going to see if Rasmussen can actually improve, or he's just opening his lap.
That should be the end of, I guess that was the beginning of lap number 1. I thought that would have been the end of lap number 1. So Rasmussen will get maybe one flying lap. Not likely. So he'll be starting from the rear of the field. How about Zachariah Rosar? Should have a chance to get a lap in. Now, Steven Grabowski and Alex Persian, they've both been on the racetrack the entire session, but neither has a lap in just yet. And Alex Persian was just all over some of the dirt there. This is big. If Alex can't get a lap time down, a clean lap time down, this 79 car could suddenly drop well out of the championship.
Yeah, absolutely. Qualifying is very important, and we know, Andrew, track position is very important. If you're in the back end of the grid, obviously...
track position is everything when you have 40 cars at Spa.
Oh, absolutely. So, yeah, if something happens down into turn 1, you definitely want to be as front as possible to maybe avoid that. If you're, if you're in the back, obviously, one possibility is you might get caught up in it. The second, if you don't, you might just lose 10, 20, 30 seconds waiting for the cars to clear up so you can have a good opportunity to go back racing. So qualifying is extremely important, especially if you're a guy that's fighting for the championship. So this could be the lap that Persian needs. Looks like his bus stop wasn't really ideal at 120.5. That's going to set him fourth place. So a good qualifying session. There's no denying a really good qualifying session. And, well, he's going to sit nicely for the start of the race.
Yeah, that anxiety we had for him as Benjamin goes off track there, that anxiety we had there for Alex, thankfully out the window, at least for his well-being. Here's Dan Willis, not going to get a lap time in, it looks like. Scott Angelo, same deal there. Steven Grabowski looks like will not get a time down. And Zachariah Rosar, it's going to be close. And unfortunately, it looks like for Zachariah Rosar, a corner shy. Those are the worst. When you're into the final corner in a qualifying run and the timer runs out, that is the absolute most painful thing I think to ever have happen on iRacing. But we have got a field of nearly 40 drivers to go through. Let's not waste any time. Starting on pole this evening at Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, you will find, if it will load for us, I promise I've hit the button. There we go. Car 014, Agustin Castro, 2 wins of the season already. Looking pretty good for another one. Ryan Kerr will start from the 2nd place, though, and Diego Eda will start from 3rd. Alex Persian from 4th. Starting 5th, you'll find car 05, Armando Bejaron. How about that qualifying effort out of Armando? And Teague Ashburn will start from the 6th position. Starting 7th inside the top 10 still is Todd Malik. Then Dre Divot starts from 8th. And starting 9th and 10th, it's Pierre Thompson and John Kroom.
11th place will go the ways of William Coffey in the number 57 and Mike Braun in the number 107 in his outside. Row number 7 is going to be Miguel Cardoso in the 13th place and 14th to Brian Zinn. There you go. Row number 8 is going to be EA Speaker in the number 03 and the 525 of Julio Contreras in 16th place. 17th place will go the ways of Jean Catarac in the number 66 and the number 14 of Max Tinkero in 18th. 19th place will go the ways of Bobby Flack on the inside and 20th place to William Valdez.
Starting 21st, you'll find car 76. That's Brian Long. Milan Harris will start from 22nd. Starting 23rd, it's going to be none other than Jeff Castillo, with Clarence Rosa joining him on row 12. Row 13 brings us Sean Patterson and William Love in car 67. Starting 27th, you'll find Mike Weir in car 20. And starting 28th, it's Daniel Harris in car 68. To round out your top 30, we have got Eric Staropoli and Scott Angelo. 8 more cars in the grid. Let's get them quick. You've got Nicholas Sykes. You've got Dan Willis. Zachariah Rosar starts 33rd. Then it's Joshua Benjamin. Stephen Grabowski. Derek Dennis will start from 36th. Then you'll find Andrew Rasmussen and Billy Bowerman gracing our final row of our field of drivers. And JP, that's a lot of race cars. We're already, I think, getting pretty close to what this racetrack can handle. Let's see what they can do down to turn number 1. Let's turn off the music. Let's turn on the green lights. Let's get this race underway. Waiting on them all to officially fire. And green flag is out at Spa. Alex Persian with the whole shot into and out of La Source. 30 minutes of racing and already 20 seconds are burned. Persian leads up to Eau Rouge. It's Ryan Kerr, then Diego Eda, 2nd and 3rd, and they single file out.
Look at at that view, Andrew. That's absolutely a sight to be seen. Looks like we already have a few cars breaking the toe, going side by side. We can have side-by-side action up Rouge and Radion. So drivers already trying to make up positions as we head into the first big braking zone after the straightaway.
Ryan Kerr bringing the fight to the outside of Lacombe, and he's going to have that spot. Maybe Persian fights back right down to the inside of the right-hander of Malmedy, but he can't hold on to the position. Ryan Kerr going to take over point. Armando Bejaran through into fourth. Agustin Castro has fallen down to fifth on lap number 1, and we're only into Bruxelles. What can he get back? Maybe a no-name.
He's going to be looking to the inside now. He's going to be sticking to the racing line, trying to essentially follow the guy ahead, force him into a mistake, but looks like no mistake is coming as we approach Pouhon. You can see maybe going a little bit defensive. That is interesting to see, as Pouhon is not really an overtaking opportunity, but drivers are aware that, well, if the opportunity comes, they'll definitely go for it.
The field is looking nice and spiffy so far. All 36 cars that started the race are still running, so to get through most of the first lap at Spa with all cars still moving, that is honestly a feat in and of its own. Let's drop a little further back in this field, see some of the other battles throughout. Let's go on board with Ilya Speaker in position number 18 maybe, and see what we can see from car 03.
We can see, well, first things first, Andrew, I guess we can see a bunch of Porsche's Cup cars. A lot of them up in front, but, you know, with the slipstream.
Oh,
we already see a
no! Massive crash, and Ilya goes over. Jean Karadec is in it. My goodness. Massive, massive accident. Julio Fernandez Cardozo, I believe. Contreras, rather, was the big car involved. There's still more crashing. Steven Grabowski's around in Blanchimont. And it all started with this car right here, unfortunately, car 525, Julio Fernandez Contreras. Massive, massive accident. Cars trying to get through and finish up their first lap. Our leaders are into Losaurus, and we will stay with it as the field keeps after it. And look at that, Ryan Kerr well wide out of Losaurus, and that gives the lead right back to car 79, Alex Persian.
Yeah, mistake, just went too wide into turn 1 into Losaurus. He's going to be compromised. He's going to be losing a little bit of speed throughout this. Look at the gap that Persian already built. Kerr might come under pressure from Diego Area just behind him. They're 2/10 apart. Now we're going to see the effect of the slipstream. 3/10, 3.5 How much can Kerr close up? Looks like just about a 10th. But Diego Area is already looking down his inside, not close enough. Kerr once again goes too deep, and he's going to be conceding 1, maybe 2, 3, 4 positions.
Oh my goodness. What could have been the best start to any driver's career in the North American Racing League suddenly goes well wide of that expectation, and not in a good way. He is down to 12th position, slots in behind Todd Malik. Wow, car 888 had something really nice going and unfortunately has gone out the window, not in the best of ways, certainly. Alex Persian going to lead down to Pouhon. Diego Eda there in second place. Pierre Thompson through to third. How about that? Agustin Castro looking good in fourth place. Teague Ashburn in fifth. And I told you to watch out for car 12. Dre Divats, how about it? Sixth place so far.
Yeah, really good showing for him, at least on the first few laps. Sixth place overall. He's, wow, 1.4 seconds looks like behind.
Agustin, his teammate.
He just rejoins ahead. I was trying to find the car on the escape road. So, Agustin, a mistake from him. Not something we're used to seeing at all, Andrew. So, drops it just a position, one position. Those tires are going to be maybe a little bit overheated and with a little bit extra wear, but I wonder if it was just a self-inflicted mistake taking too much curb.
Well, it wasn't a battle there with Pierre Thompson for third place, so anything could have happened, but it was a good recovery there from Agustin. And now Dre Devance is going to have company from John Kroom. This will be for sixth. We'll see if John can do anything here to the braking zone for the bus stop chicane. And it looks like the answer to that question is a no for now. But Armando Bejaran just behind. Recall that Armando started from fifth, is down into the 8th position, wants to get some of those spots back, and is just ahead of William Coffey, who has moved up a couple of spots since the start of this race. Todd Malik now doing battle with Mike Braun here. This is for 10th.
Todd has the inside line. We see a little bit of a lockup. I wonder who that was, but looks like everybody's still on the racetrack. We're almost going 3 wide up the mountain, up the hill. Not quite. Todd Malik is going to retain that position for the time being. So, well, it's his position for the time being. You can see Kerr just on board, just behind these two, and you can see how much steering input he's putting in, Andrew. Looks like those tires I'm not quite sure if he needed that much, so I wonder if there's something wrong with his car.
Well, these cars are definitely air dependent, and when you're packed up behind cars like that through Eau Rouge, you're not going to have that front downforce. And I think that looked to me like fighting the lack of front downforce up Eau Rouge. We'd have to see what Persian is doing maybe with that clean air if he's able to actually have a normal steering input. But that looked like he was fighting the lack of downforce there, but I could be mistaken. As look at this gaggle of cars. Armando Bejeron doing battle, and that is Jay Devat on the outside of Bruxelles, losing positions, I think, with a slowdown.
Yeah, definitely a slowdown, unfortunately, on the worst place possible, losing a lot of positions. You can see drivers trying any way possible to get it through to him, but looks like he's going to be retaining for the time 10th position, and you can see Kerr on the inside getting that 11th position back. So yeah, unfortunately for the number 12, Andrew, not as great as a start. So the lap before we saw his teammate having trouble, now he has a bit of trouble.
A little deeper in the field, 23rd, 24th, 25th. We're looking at William Love, Joshua Benjamin, and Billy Bowerman. Bowerman wide, and he's going to crash. Maybe. Does he keep it out of the wall? Yes, just barely. What a catch.
What a catch as well. And luckily there was no one really close to him by the time he rejoined the race course. He just came across it, and luckily for him it was a clear patch of road. But a great catch as well. I mean, not coming out of a lot of damage, maybe even not any damage.
Moving back forward on the field just a little bit. Watching car 168, Scott Angelo chase down Max Tankerell. This is for the 14th position, as Angelo stays in the 15th spot. Let's see what he can do. Maybe the Lasor is going to have to try and get a run out of the bus stop, and it's so important to get that bus stop just right. That sets up your rhythm, I think, for Lasor. So if you're able to nail the chicane at the end of the lap, that really begins your lap on a nice foot. Of course, gets you a good run on this home stretch as well into Lasor's. And if you're able to get that rhythm down, you have a good little run through Lasor's potentially, get on power nicely, you're going to have a good time headed up to Eau Rouge and over Radion and headed down the Kemmel Straight. So it's all just such a flowing racetrack here at Spa. Not flowing in the way that Watkins Glen is flowing. It all just kind of flows together. It feels very natural. But everything here connects into itself. It is a full lap that you need to put together. You can't just compartmentalize these corners. You've got to get it all together at once.
Absolutely. As you mentioned, it all starts on the bus stop. If you just go a bit too wide, it's going to be compromising either the first or the second section. As you can see, a lot of drivers getting close together around here. We saw a few drivers maybe lifting
I think Kerr had a little bit.
Oh yeah, maybe a slowdown as well, but on the exit of the Radion, it's really easy to get a slowdown, especially as we saw, Andrew, how affected the cars get as soon as you're behind someone. But yeah, getting each and every single corner around here is so important, especially with the massive straightaways.
Here we go, back inside the top 10. William Coffey maybe going to have a move on John Kroom. This will be for 7th if he can do it. And he's going to bring Todd Malik into this fight. So 7th, 8th, and 9th, all a nice little row. And William looked down to the inside of Pouan. I don't know that's really a passing opportunity, but I love the optimism trying to look for any way by. Well, Fournier, however, that's a decent passing opportunity. Takes a look to the inside. No dice.
Yeah, not quite close enough to make that move stick, but, well, looking definitely racy, Andrew, and that's something I'm really liking to see. A lot of drivers taking a little bit extra risk than what we've seen on the past few races, I think, which is really good to see. Obviously, taking more risk means more overtakes, a few more mistakes than usual, but I guess it's always a welcome challenge.
Loving these static shots around Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. The weather for this race, it's holding steady, although that track temp is starting to creep up ever so slightly. And I do wonder if that track temp might be a little further north for the pro race and how that might affect things. Drivers, if you're out in the chat, by all means, let us know what your thoughts are as far as temperatures as you get ready for your Pro-Am race. That is a heck of a shot, watching these cars come through the bus stop.
Oh, absolutely. I love that shot in the bus stop, seeing all those drivers slowing their cars down, swinging right and then swinging left. As you can see, we have the first car coming down in the pit lane, and is that for a penalty?
I would imagine it's either for a penalty or for damage. You see Dennis in the pit lane just ahead of Rasmussen here. Derek Dennis in car 50, not moving. Again, as you can see, the only other car not moving, other than Andrew Rasmussen. So very odd here for Rasmussen. We shouldn't see any pit stops. This isn't the GT3 series where they do have to get fuel, but Very odd nonetheless. Let's go back up towards the front. John Kroom, William Coffey. They do battle down the Kemmel straight. And oh, there's contact behind. Dre DeVots and Mike Braun contact into Lacombe. And Dre DeVots well out in the grass. And I'll take the responsibility on the curse this time, JP. I talked him up in qualifying, talked him up at the start of the race, and it's been downhill from there.
Yeah, the curse is on you this time.
Oh
no! Well, that's unfortunate. That's even more damage. But looks like the car is not actually in that bad of a shape.
I'm afraid
after
for that right
hit.
rear. That rear is towed out.
Oh, so it might be a meatball flag. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, what once was a good, promising start of the race, unfortunately, kind of went downhill from there. You can see the car struggling to turn right, and it all started actually on the middle of the straightaway.
Yeah, it started coming up to Lacombe into the braking zones. Let's get a look at it down the Kemmel straight. Mike Braun gets a run. He's got help from one of the Junkers cars just behind. And Dre just kind of comes over, I think, trying to side draft, makes contact. And unfortunately, this entire string of events really comes down to that bit there where he made the bit of contact to start things off. And then, unfortunately, he's trying to do the right thing here and be careful on this rejoin, but ends up doing the exact wrong thing, comes out onto the racetrack and hits the 127, I believe, of Dan Willis. And, yeah, goes from there.
Yeah, unfortunately from that contact on might be terminal damage. But yeah, just an unfortunate incident. As you mentioned, just trying to get a little bit of a side draft, just trying to get that a little bit of extra performance down his car. And you can see a little bit of that damage. Now the question is, Andrew, does he come down in the pit lane? I would assume so. But obviously, currently 23rd place. There's obviously the possibility that he just might continue for the remaining 17, 18 minutes. And yes, he continues.
With that out of the way, then, let's move back up front. Todd Malik just behind Mike Braun. They head up Eau Rouge now. Really good battles in this top 10, although they have split up just a little bit. Let's go on board with car 150. Oh, this is actually on John Kroom, rather, not Mike Braun.
Yeah, he's fighting for 8th place. Look at the run that he got, and as soon as he got out of the slipstream, you can see the air punching on that car, slowing a little bit down. Malik goes down the inside, gets the move done, so for now, he's in 8th place. Kroom will definitely try to answer to that and try to get a position back. As you can see, a few other drivers trying to follow, trying to make a move as we had. And oh, looks like we're going to have a mistake. And that's the number 78 just on...
That is the 118, Garrett Thompson. Big problems in Bruxelles. And he was doing so good in the top 3 the entire race to this point. It's about half the race in the top 3. I know he had some fans cheering him on in the YouTube chat. And unfortunately, we're going to have to rub some salt in the wound and go back and find out what happened to car 118. It looks like it's going to be a self-contained issue here. No other drivers involved, but let's go ahead and ride on board. Into Bruxelles and just a little bit wide. Just ran wide.
Yeah, it's just easy to lock up the inside front tire, the right front tire on that braking zone. Obviously, you're going downhill. And unfortunately, yeah, and that was kind of a close rejoin. Obviously, trying to retain that track position, taking a bit extra risk. Could it be unnecessary? Could you say that was a bit of an unnecessary risk?
A little bit, but now he's got Armando Bejaran all over the rear of his car. He's got a race. I mean, that is part of it. So he did it safely, relatively safely. Gets on in front, and, hey, the race keeps going, and he's got to race Armando Bejaran now down to the bus stop here. He's still ahead of car 05. This is live picture that you're watching with just over 15 minutes to go. Pierre sorts out into position number 5, which still is not at all bad, but Armando wants it. Oh, and look at that. Agustin Castro. A mistake in the bus stop.
Yeah, maybe just cut the bus stop a little bit and getting a slowdown penalty. I saw that car going down. Oh, that is going to be close. I saw the car going down the ticker, and I thought it was on the pit lane, but no. And look at this, Andrew. You're going to have two wide action up Eau Rouge.
Side by side, go Coffey and Castro. Who lifts? Neither. Coffey won't give. He won't budge. Side by side over Radion. Contact, but they keep going. Here comes Malik, maybe up the right side. Contact again, and there's nowhere for car 150 to go. They shut the door on his foot and said, nope, not today. Will Coffey takes the spot. Here comes Castro back on him into Lacombe. One of the most heated battles we've seen all season. Points matter. This is the back half. This is the third quarter. This is when you've got to be playing at your best.
Absolutely. Those mistakes will definitely hurt you, but racecraft like that sometimes will save you. Closing the door, essentially helping the competition to not allow a driver go through. Miguel Cardozo looks like he makes a mistake after the camel straight, maybe under braking. But yeah, that was really good racing. Unfortunately for Castro, that's going to drop him from 3rd place all the way down to 7th.
Yeah, Cardozo was doing really good, and that's just one. Well, I don't think he was in 3rd place. Sorry, you said Castro. I'm in a whole lot of places right now. Cardozo was doing well as well. He was in the top 10 and everything, moving things around in that Juncos number 49, and now drops out of that top 10. Castro nearly drops out of this top 10 again. He has had a rough race today. This is not at all what we've come to expect from the wrong number 014. Just, I don't know. It's been an off race, but this is what you come to Spa for. This is what Spa gives you, is these kind of normal but also off races, as we've got a really spirited battle between cars 57 and 014 that's only about to get more spicy.
Oh, absolutely. We saw how Castro is looking quite aggressive already, which is really fun to see, you know, taking risks. And you can see Coffee not really giving him a lot of room, just barely enough. And you can see Castro being a little bit cautious, you know, just taking a little bit of that time and, you know, just allowing himself to maybe line up a move in a better opportunity. You can see down in the bus stop, looking down the inside, but not really going that deep under braking. It looks like Todd Malik went really deep. And look at these two just ahead of them.
Armando Bejeron and Pierre Thompson battling it out here. This is for the 4th and 5th position. Thompson wanted to keep that 4th spot, gives it up to Armando Bejeron, so move the Wahuka Racing 05 right up into that spot, and Pierre very sideways out of the source there, goes through the pit exit and keeps it moving. He will lose this position, though, to Will Coffey. Absolutely, up Eau Rouge. Very smart there from Pierre to give way to car 57, so move William Coffey into the top 5. And that is why William didn't want to give that spot up. That is why Will fought so hard last lap around, because now another position was handed his way, and he's no longer battling for 6th or 7th or 8th or anything like that. He is in the top 5. That's so big for Will. That is why he had to fight like that, as Jean Kroom and Mike Braun do some battle. And there's a lot of chatter about Zachariah Rosar. How about this gaggle of race cars? Zachariah is in the midst of it.
Yeah, really good battle down into La Combe. You can see two drivers going side by side, two pair of drivers going side by side, which is really fun to see as we head now into this section of the racetrack. Zachariah Rosa currently in 14th place.
Trying to chase.
He started in 33rd position. Oh, that is insane.
Wow. It's been a positive afternoon then for car 199. How about that? Nearly up 20 positions, and we still have 12 minutes of racing to go for the Ginger Liveries number 199. He's got plenty of ways to go through this field. Oh boy, what could be?
Let's not talk about him too much. Our commentators.
Yeah, you know what? Let's go away. Let's go away. YouTube chat, you guys can handle it. You were watching it already. We'll leave you guys to it. We don't want to mess this up for you. Let's go back up then to Armando Bejeron, William Coffey. This is for the 4th and 5th position. A lot is happening throughout the entirety of this field. And we get to look at one of the, well, you know what, let's fall back just a couple positions. I talked about liveries, which always brings me back to Tam Liveries and the job that he does with this series. Of course, a lot of the promotion material that goes out for NARL, well, that is all Tam Liveries. But Mike Braun and Scott Kimbrough, they always bring, I think, the two best-looking race cars to the racetrack, rather, and they're always done by Tam Liveries. In this case, here's a look at Braun's car, and problems for Pierre Thompson and William Coffey, just ahead of the Empire Racing 107. Oh, my goodness.
That was definitely down into the braking zone of the bus stop. Contact between those two. You can see the car getting a little bit squirrely. So yeah, just as we thought the top 5 was kind of calming down, Andrew, it gets shaken up just like that once again in 2 free positions for a couple of drivers. Now, taking a look at the replay, we're going to see exactly what happened down into the bus stop, and I'm just going to guess it's going to be a misjudging on the braking zone, I dare say.
Pierre Thompson watched the car with the black and white zebra and the red trim. Yep, just in really deep into Will Coffey and turns him right around. That was battling for, what, about 5th position. These two get back rolling. My goodness, that's heartbreak for Will Coffey when fought into the top 5 like that and held off the 2-time winner of the series. Easily, I think you could call him the best driver of the series right now. and be taken out like that. Not quite taken out, but taken out of contention like that. That's always going to be a little bit tough. Here's Zachariah Rosar and Max Tankerell. This is for the 14th spot. Rosar drops back down to the 15th, so maybe an off lap for him, but certainly room to go back positive. Looks to the inside of Brexels here, and we'll fight maybe to the inside of that 14 car. Certainly looking for that spot, being a little bit aggressive, but cautiously. And we'll sit back behind him. Let's go all the way up front, though, JP. There's a car we haven't really talked a whole lot about that we have to. Remember how for a moment in qualifying I was a bit concerned about this guy? Maybe he didn't have what he needed. Maybe he wasn't going to get that lap time in. Maybe he wasn't even going to start in the top 20 or even top 30. And maybe this would take him out of contention. Well, he's put all that to bed. He's led just about the entire race. And Alex Persian might go win a second race this season.
Yeah, absolutely. So far, he looks on control. I was looking at the gaps at the beginning of the race, and it came down to around 0.4 of a second, and he managed to build that gap up to around 3 seconds, and it's remaining, at that point. So it's really controlling the pace. Diego Ari is keeping him, on point to make sure he doesn't do any mistakes, doesn't make any mistakes. But Alex has been doing a fantastic job just controlling the pace, making sure he hits his marks. And, I mean, he's doing what he has to do, Andrew. At this point and on is just, a few extra laps, 4 or 5 extra laps, as we see a move down here. Looks like Armando Bejaran just lost the position to Agostini Castro. But yeah, just a handful of laps to go. Just keep it clean, and you should be golden.
Looks like maybe a pit stop here for incidents potentially for Will Coffey. I'm not sure what else this could be. Oh, man, the heartbreak continues for car 57. This is getting painful to watch for Will. He had so many good things going for him in the first half of this race. Now it looks like a pass-through penalty. If he does continue on, yeah, that's absolutely a pass-through. Oh, man.
Yeah, that's just heartbreaking. He was fighting for 4th place. He was right about where Armando Bejaran would be. He was just battling, 17th. So... yeah, 17th, so, yeah. That's how quickly the race can turn on its head. Luckily, he still keeps going. He's still persevering, so he definitely wants to make up a few positions and definitely want to score some extra points. So really good to see him, just persevering, even though he has he had just, essentially 3 terrible laps out of luck. But hopefully we can see him, getting close to that overall top 10, maybe even top 15 is definitely in the cards.
As we encroach on the finish of this amateur race, a reminder to check out our social media. Zach Merritt is holding things down over on socials tonight and doing a fine job, if I do say so myself. Here we go. Agustin Castro going to take a look down to the bottom side of the racetrack. Not only do you want to see Zach Mertis's beautiful pictures over on socials, but you definitely also want to keep up with all things PitStopTV, broadcast updates and what have you. All of that kind of stuff goes on in our social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. This is a really good battle, though, and Agustin just pressured Armando Bejaran into a big mistake through Lafayette. Takes that spot away. That's good for 4th for car 014. What's been a roller coaster of a day for Agustin is starting to look pretty darn good.
That was an absolutely beautiful move. He was lining up that move even in Poulon. I wasn't expecting to see him going down the inside into Poulon, but he definitely did. So he's very confident on his machinery right now. He has pretty much a clear road, so he essentially just has to drive away. But I like the confidence we're seeing from Agostini. It looks really good. Obviously, it's very fun to watch. But it looks like he's still not done. Looks like, he's still going to have to defend a little bit. Just as I mentioned that, Andrew, the commentator's curse is on point.
Well, it's not a curse just yet. He holds on to 4th. Nope, never mind. Now it is a curse. Oh, Agustin. The roller coaster continues, and that was one big drop-off right there.
All right, does that count as the curse?
Yes, we're blaming you for everything. Here we go, side-by-side battle. Oh, my. This is wild stuff here as we get down to the final 6 minutes of the race. Mike Braun all over the place with John Kroom. Pierre Thompson in this battle. I don't know what's going on. Let's watch them up Eau Rouge at least and into Lacombe. We might not even be able to take a replay of all that.
Just everything that's happening so quickly. You can see 4 cars on a straight line. We might even see 2 pairs going side by side. We might even see, toe-to-toe action, just bumper to bumper. As you can see, a few cars looking down the inside, a few of them
Braun
still yet
out.
to decide. We almost went 3 wide, and yeah, there you go. That's just how quickly the move can be made. Wow,
boy.
That was close.
Pierre Thompson up the inside, contact there with John Kroom, and John goes off in the dirt. And car 45 is headed south for winter. That is not where he needed to be in this situation. Jeff Castillo also problems into Lacombe. He is well out in the not where you want to be stuff. I couldn't think of one quickly enough. Scott Angelo with a problem. He was slow, just lost a spot to Bobby Flack. Oh my goodness, this race, it is growing me some gray hairs currently. Down to Poulan, here we go. Ryan Kerr in a battle with Pierre Thompson. Agustin Castro, now 9th place is in all of this.
Agostini just trying to get those places back. He was, what, in 4th place, Andrew? At the time of the incident, you can see how confident, really confident under braking. That could really hurt him if he gets a penalty on the late stages of the race or a post-race penalty. That could really hurt all the challenges that he's trying to do, but boy, the number 14 has a lot of brakes, has a lot of braking power on his foot, so I should expect to see him move down into the bus stop if he is close enough. And I don't think that's going to be the last we're going to be seeing from Agustin trying to make a move. As you can see, battle's just outside the top 10. Zachariah Rosa just chasing Max Tankerall for 12th place as they head into Blanchimont. They're going to be holding position, but maybe Andrew down into the bus stop. No, looks like Zachariah taking a little bit easy to make sure he finished within, what, 3.5 minutes to go.
Well, he is up 20 positions. I think that's a pretty positive day no matter how you look at it. So whether he gets the spot or not, I mean, he's got to be happy with things. Zachariah this is one heck of a drive. It's not necessarily one of those storybook drives, but it's pretty darn close to have driven from 33rd to 13th in this race, have a clean car, and have not angered anybody, hopefully. This is really impressive out of car 199, and certainly a run worth talking about. If he's able to take this anywhere in the championship standings, we might have to come back to Spa, remember Spa, and talk about that one for a little bit. Up Eau Rouge he'll go. He's still 13th spot, and chasing 12th place Max Tankerell. Further ahead, there isn't a whole lot going on aside from this little gaggle of cars. Ryan Kerr kind of close to Pierre Thompson. Not a whole lot happening ahead, and really not a whole lot happening behind, although Sean Patterson may have a run here. Yes, Trey Devats might lose this spot. This is now for 22nd. Devats does lose that spot, and Patterson goes on by.
Just goes on by, just essentially sails past the number 12, and that was for just outside the top 20, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
was it, Andrew? Yeah, 22nd. So, yeah, losing yet another position as we cut once again to the battle. That's Mike Braun leading. Looks like we have a slow car on the inside. Is that a lapped car? Yes, looks like it is. So Mike Braun is still in 6th place, chasing, well, essentially holding back a 4-car grid just behind it. So Pierre Thompson from Kerr to Agustini Castro. I wouldn't dare, saying, Andrew, where these guys will finish. Everything there's still to play
Ryan
for.
Kerr.
And just like that, it changes. Kerrs go down the inside of Pierre Thompson. They're going to battle through this section. The number 14 is just trying to wait. Oh, and more contact.
Scott Angelo, Dan Willis, big problems there into Lafayette. And this is that battle that we were just looking at. Ryan Kerr gets on by Pierre Thompson and will now chase down Mike Braun. Agustin Castro is looking for a way by. Scott Angelo gets back rolling. Bobby Flack is trying to do the same. What a chaotic final 10 minutes here at Spa. Pierre Thompson with a big block there down the stretch, headed to Blanchimont.
A really big defensive move by Pierre Thompson. He really does not want to let Agustini Castro by. He really wants to hold that position for the time being. Pierre Thompson right now currently in 8th place, just looking at the drivers ahead, not close enough to dare a move down the inside as we enter the final lap of the race. And Andrew, 4 cars battling for the same piece of tarmac. I'm not quite sure who's going to end up on top. They're extremely racy. Look at where they are on the racetrack.
Wow, 3 wide to Lasource. Mike Braun on the inside. Ryan Kerr's going to try and cross him up. Agustini Castro gets to the inside there of Pierre Thompson for a moment. Pierre with a big run out of the corner. Took the long way around. Does he have what it takes? Does he have the guts here to stick it to car 888 in Eau Rouge? Yes, he does. Round the outside of the first bit of Eau Rouge and over Radion. What a move there out of Pierre. And here comes Agustin Castro trying to get that spot away. That'll be good for 8th position. Ryan Kerr now back on his heels. What's he going to do? We don't know just yet. To Lacombe, is there anything he can do? No, he's going to stick it maybe around the outside. That's not going to be an option just yet. Let's check in with our race leader then. Out of No Name, headed down to Poulan, and Alex Persian, nice Sunday drive. Let's bring my voice back down a little bit, calm back down. That's the situation here for Alex Persian. 4 seconds clear of the rest of the field, 4 seconds clear of this mess, and then some.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see Pierre Thompson. Looks like he was looking down the inside of Mike Braun into no name. We don't see moves happening there. He's going to be compromised on exit. Agostini Castro is going to have to look to the outside of Pouon. Will he try to hold it? Yes, he will. He goes deep under braking. Pierre is going to close the door. They're both going to go wide. They're almost making contact. This is brilliant racing between the two. Agostini Castro is now going to have the inside line through this section, and that should be moved done and dusted. Pierre is going to try to hold it around the outside. He has a little bit of a bumper. Agostini has to leave a room, and while they're still side by side, Andrew, as we head into the final section of the racetrack, Kerr almost rear ends him.
It's not over just yet. It'll never be over until it's over. Now they get single file. Let's check in with our race leader. He is into the bus stop for the final time, and Alex Persian, albeit a little bit overshadowed by the battles behind, will take a second race win in this season in just 5 races. He's back in the conversation for a championship. I want to quickly highlight this battle that we had further back. It looks like it might be relatively sorted out, but this is down to the bus stop for the final time. What happens here? A lockup out of Castro. Pierre Thompson goes wide. Can he get the over-under? The launch out of the bus stop? No, it's not going to work. Braun hangs on to all of those spots, and we've got to highlight this situation. Zachariah Rosar nearly comes away with the top 10 after starting 33rd spot. So many storylines, and John Kroom and William Valdez just crashed. Oh my goodness! Oh. Clarence Rosa just flipped in the final corner.
And he's going to finish the race under his own power, I think. After flipping, we have a car stopping just before the checkered flag. Was this car?
That is Devance. That is Devance. He had to let some time go.
Oh, okay.
It's back rolling. He will finish 20th, it looks like. Clarence Rosa comes on through. Brian Long, Jean Karadak next. What in the world? I see Roman Yolo in the chat saying that Alex must have had a good coach. That makes a whole lot of sense if Stu was in the box for that one. That makes a whole lot of sense. What a race out of Alex Persian. What a race in general.
Yeah, it was fantastic. We have, I mean, as you mentioned, some of these stories, Persian just controlling the pace, Diego Ari and Teague Ashburn just kind of running their own race, and then from 4th place on, I guess you can say, just a crazy last 10-minute battle, just going for it, just trying to overtake. It's a race of contrasts, I guess you can say. Alex Persian obviously is going to come out with the race win, 4.6 seconds at the end ahead of Diego Ari, who also did a fantastic race as well, just on his own pace. Teague Ashburn 13 seconds behind in 3rd place. And then Todd Malik is going to finish in 4th, 1 second ahead of Armando Bejaran. Then Mike Braun, Agustin Castro, Pierre Thompson, and Ryan Kerr in 9th place. That was the battle we were following from Mike Braun to Ryan Kerr. And Max Tenkerall is going to finish in 10th place.
Finishing 11th, you'll find the 199. That's right. Zachariah Rosar from 33rd spot, only 32 seconds behind the race leader when it's all said and done. That is so impressive. Dan Willis comes home 12th. Will Coffey there in 13th. Really should have been at least top 5 for Will. Miguel Angel, I know you've said it. Anyways, Miguel Cardozo, I'll say, in 14th spot there. Joshua Benjamin in 15th. William Valdez in all of that mess comes home 16th. Jeff Castillo 17th. Sean Patterson 18th spot. I know that's pretty... Actually, that's quite good for Sean Patterson, given the start of the season he's had. I know there's been a lot of chaos for Car 54. That's a good turnaround to get a top 20 here today. John Kroom there drops all the way down to 19th and all of that. Whatever happened there in the final closing laps. And Clarence Rosa, after doing a barrel roll, JP, still a top 20.
That's a pretty good result. Not a lot of drivers can finish in the top 20 on a 40-car grid after doing a couple of rolls, but he did it. Brian Long's going to finish in 21st place, just 0.7 of a second ahead of John Cadillac in 22nd. Brian Zinn is going to finish in 23rd ahead of Bobby Flack. Julio Fernandez Contreras is going to finish in 25th ahead of EA Speaker. Andrea Devas is going to finish in 27th. Billy Bowerman in 28th. Andrew Rasmussen in 29th. Scott Angelo in 30th place.
Finishing 31st, you'll find Milan Harris in car 69. Then it's Mike Weir, William Love, Daniel Harris, Derek Dennis, your top 35. And these are where some of the guys, unfortunately, had early exits to today's race. Stephen Grabowski there in 36th. Eric Staropoli and Nicholas Sykes, unfortunately, it looks like, do not take the start of this race. Well, JP, I don't know what to make of that one, but what this does mean is that we have one certain driver to go ahead and talk to. Alex Persian is headed your way.
So Alex, I mean, you had such a controlled pace up in the front. You were kind of, not the highlight, I guess you can say, of the broadcast with so many battles. Talk us through your race.
Yeah, thanks. The race, I felt like it went pretty well. I think the quali was not up to what I was hoping, starting fourth, but I was able to get a nice launch this time, and then screwed up Orouge and Radion, but was able to kind of fight back and had some good battles with Ryan, who I think unfortunately locked up or something, and yeah, from there it was just kind of head down trying to keep a distance from Diego, because I knew that he was really quick here as well, so just kind of conserving tires and making sure that I kept some pace.
Absolutely, and obviously running up in the front, what kind of strategy do you keep yourself focused, essentially, lap after lap, to make sure you're creating that gap, trying to avoid mistakes?
Oh man, I think that's my biggest challenge, is just like maintaining focus and not necessarily like, yeah, just focusing on the next corner, I guess. And I guess I try to think of it from the standpoint of like calling out the breaking point in my head, or calling out like how I'm gonna go for the exit of that corner in my head, just to like kind of keep my mind focused on that corner, to prevent it from wandering off.
And absolutely, and turning to next week, obviously a very different race course than Spa-Francorchamps is going to be Charlotte. What are your thoughts coming to it?
I'm looking forward to it. Charlotte was one of the tracks that the 992 was first on when it just came out, when it just released on iRacing, and it led to some really fun races. So I'm looking forward to next week. I hope that we'll see similar racing here in the league.
Well, absolutely. And with that being said, Alex, who do you have to thank? Who do you have to shout out for your win here today?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, shout out to you guys and everyone that puts on this league. This is a fantastic experience to be a part of. Shout out to Moranis Coaching. This time, Juliana Roman, not even going to try and pronounce the last name, Stu, helped me with some superb coaching, and so keeping his advice in my head as I was going around the lap, or going around the track, really helped out. Ginger Liveries for creating this awesome flying lizard replica, and last minute getting that Ukrainian flag on there on the top, and yeah.
Well, absolutely. It was a fantastic race from you, Alex. Hopefully we can talk to you next week, but with that being said, I'm going to let you focus and enjoy the rest of your week.
You too.
All right, Andrew, that was our race winner, Alex Persian. A really controlled race, really kind of a quiet race for him. We haven't really touched upon him during the whole broadcast, but I mean, that's sometimes a good thing, isn't it?
It is, and please don't mind the quick Silverstone thing there. 2 broadcasts on the same day, things get mixed up. What that is, I think that Alex Persian victory right there is a really good testament as to exactly what Moradness gets you. Moradness, one of the big partners here of the North American Racing League. That is what Moradness gets you, is wins. They will help you advance through your racing career in iRacing. They will help you find whatever speed they can help you find and make you a smooth driver. That's exactly what that was. It was 13 laps of smooth racing out of Alex Persian. There was a lot going on there at the start, got the whole shot off the start, and held himself under pressure so beautifully against Ryan Kerr and kept himself in a position to win this race. Ryan made mistakes, Alex did not, and that is why Alex Persian won this race. The big time help there from Moradness. That is what Moradness gets you. That's why you got to check out Moradness today, and I'm sure Daniel can plug his Discord link there in the chat if he would like. I know he's out there. By the way, hi Daniel. Anyways, just really good testament as to exactly what you get from Moradness and Daniel Morad and everything he's done over there, and specifically Giuliano Romagnolo, who hopefully is racing in this race here in just a few minutes as we get ready for the Pro-Am race. But that all said, that means we have a chance to go ahead and take a quick step aside and get ready then for race number 2 on the day. Pro-Ams, they're up next. A lot of big names in this one, as per usual, JP, and we never know exactly what to expect, which I think is the best part about it. So we are ready for 50 minutes of racing from Spa. Don't go anywhere. We want you to be ready as well. Grab a snack, grab some water, do what you got to do. We'll be right back here in just a couple of moments. Welcome back to the virtual Spa-Francorchamps. 30 minutes out of the way. That's 30 minutes of amateur racing. Now the big boys come out to play. And, oh boy, JP, this is going to be a good one. We've got some of the best to drive Porsche Cup cars on the iRacing.com service ready to go for 50 minutes of a pit stop. It's going to get chaotic. The double-digit numbers, of course, those are your pros. The triple-digit numbers, those are your pro-ams. Let's take a look first at the standings coming into this one, JP. Those are the amateur standings. Here are your pro-am standings. There's a lot to take in here. Luke Krause, 2 wins of the season now, 6 points ahead of Victor Miranda. Matthew Dench in third. How about the Aussie just quietly moving himself into such a fantastic position for the rest of the season, potentially. Really, really good stuff out of Matthew Dench. You can see the rest of the top 10 there for the pros. I like the tie for Ludicky and Lubenow. I like that Sam Soyd is still in this conversation. Andre Melchers is not out, but he is certainly down right now. If you look over to Pro-Am, look at the three-way tie between John Sedlak, Nicholas Michael, and Curtis Jones. 6th, 7th, and 8th. And yeah, they're a ways back, but that in and of itself is cool. Lowy Santi only a couple of points back. Reed Gibson there as well. And of course, Lawrence Zavadil. My goodness, the run he had at Hungaroring last week, JP, this guy has to be in consideration for promotion to pro next season.
Absolutely. It was a great run. And I mean, 10 points ahead of Paulo Goddard. It's really, really good. Obviously, it's only 10 points. It can all change tonight, but it's still a good showing. And if you think about it, on the Pro-Am side, you have Rafael in 4th place, and 10 points behind him, it's 10th place. So it's still a lot to play for. The same gap that we have from 1st to 2nd, we have from 4th to 10th. So it's really close. Obviously, on the pro side, we have Luke Krause. Obviously, both wins. Victor Miranda still yet to win, 6 points behind Matthew. They're just showing that consistency is key. So a lot of stories up for grabs here, Andrew. I kind of mentioned them on the BSR, but can this guy right here, can he catch a break from the bad luck that he's been having, the number 25? We saw the bad luck in the GT3. We saw the bad luck in the last couple of rounds, actually, on the Porsche Cup. Can maybe Victor Miranda win a race? Can Luke Krause maybe make it 3 out of 3? So many different stories, and I mean, it all starts in qualifying.
Well, it all starts with the weather conditions for this race, the track temp, and actually the practice track temp was just in the 90s. The qualifying track temp now right back down in the 60s. So with this race going on an extra 20 minutes into the day here at Spa, watch for the track temp to raise by the time this race is over. We'll have to check on that. I have to remember to check on that later on in the day, because that was rather toasty at the back end of practice. Couldn't quite get a chance to show you, unfortunately, but I promise you it was in the 90s Fahrenheit, which is a stark difference to now in the 60s for qualifying. We'll see how things trend and how things change. Qualifying is, of course, underway. That's what you see on track now. Andre Melcher, as we already looked at him. This is Lorenz Zavadil. How about Daniel Thomas in car 60? Maybe Paul Ricobenet in car 916. Maybe Blake Scott is one that you want to look at here potentially in car 166. As far as the pros, I think you have to watch for today, well, all of them. Giuliano Romagnolo, he just commanded a driver to victory for Maradness with Alex Persian. Fabio Zamperlini, I think, is certainly a sleeper pick today. Mikel Rudebusch could be right back into a conversation for a win. And Matthew Dench, third in the standings, quiet so far this season. Maybe this is where he shines.
Yeah, absolutely. I was looking at the general chat just before, and, it looks like his pace was really good. Zavadil was kind of worried about his pace. I'm pretty sure it was Zavadil. It might be another driver. Was worried about Matthew Dench's pace. He looked very, very confident, very, very fast. So, could be, maybe one of those underdogs that it's not really an underdog, per se.
Well, time will tell. Yeah. All we can do is really sit and wait on him to come across the line and get an idea of exactly how fast he's going to be. How about that? Bernardo Faria to the top of the board. Paulo Goddard is second place, only second place by a little over a tenth. Manuel Scully is in the third spot currently, a new pro driver to the field added last week. Lorenz Zavadil has dropped down to the fourth spot. Tony Kanaan checks into the top 10. Oh boy, some names are starting to fill the top of the timing sheet. Brady Lubenow in the top 10 so far, just outside that top 5. Romagnolo. In fact, we have two 1/1000th of a second margins. Romagnolo and Zavadil are tied on the ticker, but separated by 1/1000th of a second in timing and scoring. And Goddard and Scully are 1/1000th of a second apart. Things are close. Oh, and look at Kimbrough and Reister.
It's Kimbrough and Reister, yeah, I was going to mention that as well. Just tied up as well, so...
Now, they are tied... Even on the timing and scoring sheet on my other screen here, they are tied very far down the list of decimals here. They are very close.
Oh, there you go. So yeah, it's really fun to see all these drivers, and obviously, Andrew, it's fun to see because they're not gonna have the exact same lap. Some of them are faster on the first sector, the other one might be faster on the middle sector, which is a really fun thing if you think about it. So it's really interesting to see where each driver shines. Tony Kanaan looks like he goes 9th place. Now Victor Miranda is finishing up his lap. Can he beat Faria to provisional pole for the time being? He goes really wide on the bus stop. I wonder if that invalidated his lap at 218.8. Does that count?
No, it does not.
No,
that might have been it there out of the bus stop, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but yeah, so unfortunately for him, not going to count. Nick Ludick, it looks like he's going to be opening another lap, so this lap did not count for him as well. So a couple of drivers, Andrew, struggling, looks like, with off-tracks already.
Here's a look at Neto Nascimento, one of the drivers I think that is on the verge of a win in this series. Was very good at Hungaroring last week until some other issues happened. Luke Krause as well. And, we talk about the heartbreak for Andre Melchers thus far in this season. He was going to win, I think, at Road Atlanta. If you recall, on Thursday night, he was going to win and start to turn his momentum around in the series as a whole, considering that was in the GT3 series as opposed to the Porsche Cup series. He had things going for him and dropped out of the session late while leading. Here's Luke Krause across the line at 2:19.59 and change. That is only good for 16th for a two-time winner on the season. We'll see what he can do this next lap out. Bernardo Faria still on top of the board, but only by 1/100th of a second. And Scott Reister said in the Discord, if a Pro-Am goes on pole, that's an automatic promotion. Lauren Savadil, you've got to be careful here. You've got to be real careful.
I wonder if he just took the foot out of the throttle on the last moment. Definitely did not, but that was close, Andrew. And he's definitely threading the needle between Pro-Am and Pro driver. And I mean, if he goes to Pro, I mean, that's not a bad qualifying session at all. He could definitely, him and Paulo, both of them could be promoted to pole, and I'm pretty sure to Pro, and they could still be very competitive.
Absolutely. I think Paulo Godai is very, very close, at least here at Spa. Might be other tracks where he struggles a little more, but hey, Matthew Denge opens that gap up a good bit. Wow, a 2:17.9 for the Aussie. That is a lap and a half right there. Matthew Denge to the top. Wow, 5-Star Motorsport. Are they going to go and make it a third win on the day here for us at PitStopTV? 1-2 races by virtue of Jason Cooper in the BSR MX-5 series, and now on pole potentially with Matthew Denge. That could be big. And Neno Nascimento goes 7th in qualifying now. Lots is changing here in this qualifying session. Oh, look at that. Victor Miranda to the top of the board.
What?
Purple there with a 2:17.3.
0.6 of a second? Am I seeing that correctly?
Yes, somehow. Yes, you are. He's got a second on 7th.
What? Remember when Zavadil was 100th? Melcher's just half a tenth behind him. Oh my God. This is going to be a fantastic race between these two.
Here's a look at John Sedlak in the JS Consulting, number 203. A couple of drivers that are still trying to qualify haven't turned a time just yet. He is one of them. M. Taki is the other, and I don't think Taki is going to get that lap in. Laue Santi goes up to 22nd. Mikhail Rudebush up to 16th. And I will say, I'm glad paints are loading this week as opposed to last week at Hungaroring. But let's check in on John Sedlak. Going to finish up his qualifying session. Where does he go on the board? Krause, by the way, up to 20th. Well, that's unfortunate to see for car 34. We wanted it to be a lot further north, and Sedlak goes 27th to finish up qualifying, the last car to cross the line and take a time. So, some 20, I think almost 30 cars, if not over 30 cars, ready to go for 50 minutes of racing at one of the best circuits in the world, Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. We've got 5 minutes of warm-up, a chance to breathe, a chance to reset quickly. We'll be right back to you after a quick message from our partners here at PitStopTV.
SoundArt introduces an entirely new way to listen to music in your home by combining the best of two products: a revolutionary high-fidelity, low-profile Bluetooth wireless speaker with beautiful artwork. Select from a library of artwork or upload your own photos to personalize your experience. SoundArt ushers in an era of invisible, beautiful, and amazing sound throughout your home and redefines your entire entertainment system. The need to reclaim your floor space and rid your home of unsightly speaker boxes that need to be bolted to the wall is now a thing of the past. Our canvas is printed on high-quality permalite by Breathing Color. And select from our gallery or upload your own. Standard sizes include 16 by 20 and 18 by 24 canvas wrapped. Custom sizing is available, as well as surround sound options.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
Welcome back to the virtual Spa. 50 minutes lie ahead for each of these drivers. You know, JP, I don't really know what to say after that. We're going to see a whole lot happen in the next 15 minutes. Of course, fuel saving will be on everybody's mind. That tends to be how things go. But we've got two drivers that seem to be a half second clear of everybody else in this field. And we're going to have one hell of a battle behind them. And I will use that word in this case. It is going to be amazing stuff behind them. Third on back. And let's not necessarily say that first and second are going to walk just yet. But it's looking like they can if they so choose.
Absolutely. On qualifying, normally we get, what's possible to do on the race, how quickly a driver can drive the track, And with those two, the top two being half a second quicker than the rest of the field, it kind of, it just brings that question. If they so need to push, do they still have, that half a second with worn out tires, with, obviously the lighter car towards the end of the race? Still a lot of questions, but obviously, Andrew, to get, thinking about the back end of the race, the final few laps after everybody made their pit stops, they still need to survive the first few laps, which we know are the trickiest ones.
A minute and a half just about remaining here in warm-up, and the weather, well, the weather is holding steady. It's still just about 66 degrees in the sim. Let's go ahead and come back into the sim, actually, and take a look at the conditions as the warm-up session rolls on. Things are holding very, very steady. The winds, though, they are a little higher than I would have expected for today, so we'll see how things change throughout the course of the race, and if that is at all a concern for these drivers. If it stays about where it is, it shouldn't be too bad, but Blanchimont is always Blanchimont, and what I mean by that is it's scary. It always tends to reach out and grab you sometimes when you're least expecting. You can see it there, turn 17, almost dead center of that graphic. It's definitely an issue, especially on cold tires, which it seems like we are going to have today, certainly at the start of the race, and maybe if anybody does change tires throughout this race, maybe they have a spin or whatever, maybe they have to consider that as the race wears on. JP, I do want to mention real quick some of the partners here at the North American Racing League. There's a lot of people that make a lot of great things happen, and it wouldn't be possible without any of them. Of course, you see them all on your screen now. VRS providing a lot of the setups and setup help. Muradness, of course, providing a lot of the driver assistance, and just being an overall resource for anybody in this North American Racing League and anybody on iRacing, really. Again, you've got to find Muradness today. I don't personally have a link to their Discord, but I'm sure you can reach out to Daniel Morad or Giuliano Romagnolo or anybody else like that and get an invite to their Discord and start picking up speed today. Tam Livery will get you taken care of as far as the liveries go, taking care of all of the social media assets and everything like that. All those social media posts that you see from North American Racing League themselves, that is all Tam Livery, and it looks fantastic. And let's not forget JS Consulting. If you've signed up for this series or even looked into their website, NorthAmericanRacingLeague.com, that is all JS Consulting right there, handling the back end and supporting this series in the best way that they know how. So, warm up, that'll wrap up, and we are ready to go through our 35 car grid. It looks like Aaron Law. Yes, 35 car grid, the final car being Aaron Law. Let's start through it. Victor Miranda going to start on pole. JP, you'll find Andre Melchers there in second place. Starting third, you'll find Giuliano Romagnolo himself in car 55. It's Matthew Dench starting from fourth. Starting fifth, Bernardo Faria wraps up a top 5 of pro drivers before you find Lawrence Zavadil, your Pro-Am pole sitter. Starting from the 7th position, however, you will find Paulo Goday in car 933. Manuel Scoli starts from 8th. And starting 9th, rather, you will find Neto Nascimento. Fabio Zamperlini joins him on that 5th row.
11th place go the ways of Daniel Thomas on his outside. Brady Lubinow in the number 11. 13th place will go the ways of Curtis Jones in the 999 and the number 173 of Alexandra Torchio. Rafael Bonaficio is going to start in 15th place. Mikael Rudebusch in 16th place. 17th place will go the ways of Scott Reister. Alongside him, Spencer March. And that's all we have time for, Andrew, because the red lights are on.
Ready to go for 50 minutes of racing at Spa, just waiting on the cars to fire. There they go, off of the line, and we are racing for 50 minutes. An all-out land rush, and Romagnolo gets turned out of La Source. Romagnolo gets back going. Everybody gonna land rush up to Eau Rouge over Radion. What a start to this race already. A lot is happening.
A lot is happening. Obviously, Romagnolo with that bad look, starting in 3rd place, already finds himself, spun around. And no, even more instance on the exit of Radion.
That's Tony Kanaan spun over Radion. Car 48 has already taken a tow, and yet again in this North American Racing League, Tony Kanaan has not made a full lap in racing conditions at Spa.
Just bad luck for him at Spa. It just seems to be a curse around him.
Pedro Nascimento in trouble.
Oh no, so yet another Brazilian in trouble. Looks like just on the accident. Does he have a lot of damage? Doesn't look like it. Oh, he tried to spin it and unfortunately went the wrong way, so he's going to have to reverse it. Oh, that was close.
I like how your tone completely changed there. Let's go back towards the front. Andre Melcher's chasing Victor Miranda the first lap through Pooh on him. Miranda's got a nice, healthy lead. He's got to stretch that out, I think. If you're Miranda here, push this first lap, get as much of a gap as you can, and then start to consider fuel afterwards. Oh, boy, this has been a wild first lap. Romagnolo battling now with Luke Kraus. This is into Lafayette, and does he have the spot? He moves over just in time and gets ahead of car 34. That is good for 16th.
That was a good move, a confident close of the door right there on the apex, but he's going to get that position over Luke Kraus. Luke is definitely going to be trying to repeat what he did last week, but in the position that he's in right now, well, only a strategy masterclass and a lot of moves, throughout the race will help him. As you can see, even more drivers now following. You're going to see if drivers are starting to maybe even lift down into lap 1 on Blanchimont, but looks like that's not going to be the case. Brady Lubinow trying to look down the inside of the bus stop, but, well, cannot really capitalize on it. Meanwhile, Victor Miranda still leads.
Lap 1 complete. One of your closest battles, Romagnolo and Ricer across the line. Here we go, down to La Source one more time. And Romagnolo is going to have the spot to the inside of Kraus. Ricer's actually just behind these two. Mark Scott, Lowy Santi, they battle through La Source as well. Battles throughout the entire field. Here's a good look at them as they work towards Eau Rouge one more time. Lowy Santi, Curtis Jones there. What a start to this race.
Absolutely crazy start. Well, a really good start for some of these drivers. Obviously, a few of them won't be really happy with, well, the end of lap 1, but, it was a fun start. You can see even more drivers utilizing that slipstream. You can see Scott right there just getting it through. And as we have a car
Scott
with a
Ricer.
slowdown. Oh, no.
Scott Ricer having to pay the time gods back a little bit. And one car in the dirt. I think that's Mark Scott just ahead. Gets back on. I think we're all good. Let's go ahead and let these guys sort themselves out a little bit. Let's talk about our race leaders. They've already got a second back to Matthew Dench just about. Starting to gap the 83 car while Andre Melchers hangs on by just about 4/10 back. Fantastic start for these two. This is exactly what they need, JP.
Absolutely. These two are just, well, essentially just driving away a little bit. Matthew Dench is trying to keep up. He's still in the slipstream range of Melchers, so it's just a question of, just keeping yourself in that slipstream range, trying to fuel save as much as you can, and obviously try to undercut and maybe even, gamble a little bit on the fuel by the end of the race. But obviously, Andrew, being Spa, the fact that you were on throttle, for a ton of time around Spa, it's a difficult one to maybe even gamble on a lot of fuel. You might just run out, just like Miranda did at Daytona.
On board with Matthew Dench. Back end of the lap, we'll go through Blanchimont now. Turn 17, there's a lift there from Matthew. You can see the live gap bottom right to Andre Melchers. Those two are just taking off. It's going to be really, really tough to do anything with cars 17 or 25. But Matthew's certainly going to give it his best shot. Really good run so far out of car 83 tonight. I'm enjoying what I'm seeing so far, JP. Only 2 laps are in. We're only on to lap 3 of an expected 22, but I'm enjoying what I'm seeing.
Yeah, me too. The racing has been really good. Obviously, the strategy might be settling in for a few of these drivers, but, it's still really good to see. And obviously, we have some drivers taking extra risks, which is really good to see. And it kind of just, breaks up a little bit of what we're expecting. It gives us a little bit of that, wow factor, and a little bit of a surprise. So it's really fun to see. And obviously, mistakes, Andrew, are being punished, by losing quite a few positions, especially with how close some of these packs are.
Watching a battle just around the 10th position. Brady Lubinow, Alessandro Torchio, Sam Soyd, Mikel Rudebush, and Fabio Zamperlini all in line. Let's go on board as Zamperlini, actually. Former GT3 champion in this league. Oh, and there's a battle for third. Faria bringing the battle to Matthew Dench here. He's already taken the spot.
Yeah, taking the spot, that's really going to break up the slipstream between second and third place. So Faria, by taking third place, essentially locks himself as the leader of this essentially second pack, as he's currently, what, 1.4 seconds behind Melcher. So a good move on him by the end of the Camel Straight, but unfortunately that might hurt him on the long run.
Let's actually go on board now with Fabio Zanfrolini, former champion in the GT3 series on Thursdays. Matthew Dench is giving more time up, gives a spot up to Zavadil, gives a spot up now to Scully. I think he's nursing a slowdown potentially, as we stay on board with car 27. And Fabio is in the 14th position. And really, he's in the same breadth almost as our race leaders. This is one big line of race cars, a couple of gaps in between, but nothing too sizable. Really good start for the top half of the field.
Yeah, absolutely. Really solid start. They're just keeping up pace, which is really fun to see. It's essentially, it looks like a train, doesn't it, Andrew? Everybody on rails as Mark Scott, unfortunately. Oh, no!
Massive contact there, and he will come to a rest on his side and promptly take a tow. Scott Reister also in trouble here. That was down bottom end of the circuit. Multiple cars in trouble. Let's go ahead and pull up a replay. This is going to start, it looks like, with Mark Scott, at least in some capacity. We'll go back and see what happens here. Mark Scott just ahead of one of the Maradness cars, it looks like. That is car 812. That is Nicholas Michael, actually, from Maradness in that neon yellow Porsche. Let's see what happens here. So Mark Scott under pressure. This is for about the 17th spot at the time. To get loose on his own. He kind of back. I think he kind of backed up to Michael and then got hit. Oh, goodness.
Oh, and even more contact just ahead of him.
Yeah, big crash in there. Let's go ahead and go back live. Pit stop's already starting to happen for some of those drivers that have had some issues. We're still well outside of the pit window, but here's a good battle. Alessandro Torchio all over the back end of Sam Sword, and he's got Mikhail Rudibish all over his own back end. So lots happening about the midfield or so. This is, well, Sam Sword is 11th. Lubinow just ahead of him is 10th. And Bonifacio, who's also in this battle, is in the 9th spot. Really good stuff. And look at this. Romagnolo, Luke Krause. I just heard some crashing in the background. You might have heard that too on the stream. These guys going after it like it's the end of the race.
Yeah, it looks like this battle has definitely not dissipated, especially after the lap 1 overtake that, Luke Krause suffered. So he's still trying to get that position back. Might just happen around here. Look at a mistake, a self-inflicted mistake. Oh, and maybe a problem?
That is frustration for Giuliano Romagnolo. He's already left the car, and I'd imagine he will be leaving the session shortly. Don't know what the frustration's about. We'll let him sort that out and let that one be. As car 173, Alessandro Torchio, he's going to keep getting my attention here. He is 4th place in Pro-Am and is looking pretty solid. We've not seen much of Torchio yet this season, but looking good today as he's on the verge of the top 10 potentially, chasing down David Sampson. This could be a good run here for car 173.
Yes, exactly. Just as you mentioned, just outside the top 10, chasing Sampson and chasing a pro driver as well, which is really good. He's currently 4th place in his class, just a few cars behind Bonifacio, so could be a podium position in his class. I mean, it's just so difficult to judge, isn't it, Andrew? Especially this early on, only 10 minutes in. But it looks like on the surface a really good race. Hopefully he can keep this up until the end of it.
And if you're Alessandro here, you're chasing the leader of this line of cars. That red rear end, that is Rafael Bonifacio in the 9th position. That is the next position ahead of you in class, in Pro-Am. So that's the car you're chasing. You want to stay in line here behind Samsoid and Lubinow, but you do not want Bonifacio to run away at all. And you can see that was a kind of a lackluster exit out of Lasoros. He's lost some time, certainly. The draft going to bring him back in. We'll see what he can do.
Yeah, absolutely. The draft being essentially the greatest weapon that you have, just to essentially help you in your mistakes, just like we saw, being a front end. Looks like we have another car with trouble, maybe another car facing a bit of a slowdown penalty. But, the slipstream being so powerful here, Andrew, it really does help you if you're chasing, but obviously you're not going to like it if you're the leader, are you?
Yeah, it's always one of those things you just have to fight through. It's just a part of racing certain tracks like this. And, well, unfortunately, it is a fact of life as what you saw there into Lacombe was Rafael Bonifacio losing a position to Brady Lubenow, and that brings him one spot closer to Alessandro Torchio. So this battle for third in Pro-Am could be very much alive here shortly. As our two race leaders, they continue to walk away. Victor Miranda, Andre Melcher's now a little over 10 minutes into this race. They've got 2 seconds back to Bernardo Faria. And even Bernardo has really started to walk away from Lawrence Zavadil.
Yeah, true. That gap has really risen to around 1.7, 1.5. So a really good gap from him. Matthew Deitch obviously lost the place to Zavadil, so he's back down to 5th place. Unfortunately for him. So Zavadil again, Andrew, doing a fantastic race. The pace that the number 124 has is just, I mean, it's excellent, isn't it? I don't think there's any other word to describe it.
Yeah, that's about on point here for Lawrence, and I think certainly if he isn't promoted at some point this season, he will be promoted next season if he does sign up again. He's just so good. The iRating fits. The iRating makes sense, I think, as far as Pro-Am, but sometimes the driver's talent just puts them a little bit outside of that, and that's clearly the case here for Lawrence Savio. Really, really good stuff this season. And, hey, maybe this is a wake-up call to him to go run some more official races and boost that iRating.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, if he puts a little bit more, he won't even need, the results of this season to put him in the pro category for next one. So, I mean, just keep on running. It looks like the Porsche is just his best car, so he knows which series to focus on as we're looking to even more battles. Daniel Thomas just chasing down 7th place. Paulo Godoy just ahead of him. Again, Paulo in different class as well. He's doing an excellent race as well. So, I mean, Andrew, you can see the top 2 in the Pro-Am class. I mean, they're just really good, aren't they?
Yeah, this top 2 in Pro-Am, they've got something going for them, especially Lawrence Salvador. It's keeping Paulo Godoy honest, which I think is pretty good. Godoy, a good driver in his own right. I think just keeping him honest for this championship, and I think actually the inverse of that is Godoy is keeping Lawrence pretty honest in this championship. They're both keeping themselves pretty honest, or each other pretty honest in this championship, and making sure they cannot have mistakes. Obviously, you get one drop race, but you've got to make sure that drop race is just that one drop race and not 2 that you wish you could drop at the end of the season. So we'll see how things work out as the season goes on. 15 minutes almost into this one. And so far, as far as drivers that might want to drop it, you're looking at Giuliano Romagnolo, Mark Scott, and Tony Kanaan. They are mired in 31st, 33rd, or 32nd and 33rd, respectively. Reed Gibson is the last car on the racetrack, and he's taking a bit of an excursion there through Lacombe, gets back on in Malmedy, and he is now 3 seconds behind him, Taki. This is the lowest battle on the totem pole currently, but they're looking to change that. M. Taki, one of the pros by iRating, and Nick Peterson, one of the Pro-Ams.
They're just chasing each other. Looks like that's for 27th, 28th position. 2 battling coming down to Puan, and yeah. Again, Andrew, kind of two, actually, we can talk a little bit, I guess, about liveries. Kind of 2 simple liveries. Taki with a full-on black with, yellow rims, and we have, Peterson just ahead of him with,
yellow
just a
and
classic
black rims.
Porsche. Yeah, there he goes, the opposite.
So these guys well down in the order right now. They would be chasing Blaine Sparling up the road in 27th spot. Although I don't know that they're going to get there without some kind of divine intervention, at least not just yet. John Sedlak is the next one up the road in 26th. And how about 25th spot, JP? Neto Nascimento. He's in a nice little battle here as Curtis Jones. First one to the pit lane that seems relatively planned. He's got a lot of damage, but I don't know why else he'd be in the pit lane, although he's going straight. That is a pass-through penalty.
That's unfortunate for him. Already early signs of too many incident points. He's going to be rejoining, looks like just outside. Just
behind Neto Nascimento and Paul Riccobetti.
Okay.
So that's in 25th spot.
Yeah, and Neto just got past, just got the move done, essentially, maybe into La Source. So the driver, just pulling away at this point, trying to minimize those mistakes, trying to get those points back that he not desperately needs. He just wants to get those points back, definitely just trying to fight his way back as we are approaching yet another battle. Looks like this is Scott Kimbrough chasing Scott just ahead of him for 18th spot.
And if you want to talk about liveries, this is the one I always talk about. Scott Kimbrough's number 117, and I've fallen in love with it, and I've been in love with it for 3 seasons. And Scott, Tam, please never change this car. I love it. If anything, maybe just tweak some of the highlights, the colors, I don't know, but don't ever touch this car, in my opinion. Just such a good-looking paint scheme. And certainly, the fact that it isn't overloaded with logos all over it, that helps it too. Car 117 is always a looker as he's chasing Blake Scott for the 18th spot. And just ahead of Spencer Marsh as well, one of the pros.
Yeah, this is a fun 3-way battle, and we're just going to have to see, how Blake just ahead of him, well, this is Spencer Marsh, we're on board, but we're just going to have to see how these guys will react to each other. How will they fend off the pressure? You can see Blake, well, just running his own race. Caught just kind of behind him, just went a little bit too deep, and Andrew, we might see a move happening just on the bus stop because the run that we're seeing from Spencer Marsh seems to be really good, and sometimes a run like this is just too good to pass on. If you just stay behind, you might just waste an overtaking opportunity. Who knows, might just be extinguished on the next few laps. So Spencer might be looking down the inside of the bus stop, but just as I mentioned that, he seems to be too far away. Ooh. But look at that.
Kimber up the inside of Blake Scott, at least for the first apex, outside for the second apex. On contact there, and Blake Scott gets sideways, loses both of those positions, allows Kimbrough and Marsh to go on by. How about that, guys? You had your own little bit of contact, but you get the same spots anyways. I think that works out at the end of the day, as they are just ahead of James Hansen in car 904, it looks like. I haven't seen much of James yet this season. Hopefully that changes.
Absolutely, and I like this livery as well. It's a simple livery, but I like the mix of colors. The blue, the red. You can see a little bit of the white. You can kind of say it's a little bit of the American flag, I dare say. But it looks really good. I like those simple livery as well, but sometimes the complicated one looks really good. Just as good as this battle, Luke Krause trying to get past Mikel Rudibus just ahead, and these two are fighting tooth and nail.
This is for position 13 on the racetrack. Luke Krause trying to bring his race back together. Started pretty deep in this field. What was it, position number 20? Yeah, position number 20. He's up to 14th now, clawing his way through this field of pros and pro-ams. He wants that spot for car 22, or from car 22, rather. We're nearing 20 minutes complete. In fact, we're about to hit 18 minutes complete in this race. He knows he's got to keep going. He is some 16, 17 seconds behind the race leader, and he's got to change that.
Yeah, absolutely. He needs to get past. He's not really affording a lot of fuel saving. He's just absolutely just going for it.
I'm not sure if fuel saving is a thing today, to be honest. Nobody's been doing it.
I dare say, Melcher's definitely doing it, just keeping himself honest to Victor, I think. But yeah, if nobody else is doing it, if you do it, you're going to be in a really good advantage. But yeah, that's going to bring a good point to the pit stops later on, Andrew. Seeing who saved extra fuel and who didn't save at all. Definitely Luke Krause might not be saving nearly as much as some of the other guys, and that could either pay off really well or could hurt him by saying, a few seconds extra stationary down in the pit lane.
And let me clarify, I'm sure these guys are saving at least a little bit of fuel, but not the kind of fuel saving that we've seen the first couple of rounds of this season at Hockenheim, Daytona, Long Beach, and Hungaroring last week. This seems like a different kind of race. It seems like there's a lot more organic battling happening than sitting back and waiting and just saving fuel. Maybe these guys are now starting to save. They're kind of getting equidistant here in the midfield, but it just hasn't looked like one of those fuel-saving kind of races as Lowy Santi is in the pit lane for Duck Hawk Racing.
Yeah, so he's in the pit lane. Is this the first scheduled stop that we see? So this could open essentially the pit window. We know the pit window is going to be very, very long. It's probably going to go until the last 15 minutes of the race. But Santi, first one, 11.5. I'm gonna have to write that number down, Andrew, to compare it to later on in the race.
11.5 seconds. We'll go with that and try and remember that for car 133. Let's head up to our race leaders then. When do they come in? They're very close. Victor Miranda and Andre Melcher separated by about a half a second here. And, man, I think if you're Andre here, you want to make the move first.
Yeah, that'll definitely be interesting. Obviously, putting a little bit of pressure on Victor Miranda.
Well, he is saving. Obviously, I just heard it.
Yeah, and also, Andrew, if the opposite as well, if Melcher's, just is able to stay an extra lap, that's going to, sound an alert into Miranda's head as soon as he comes down in the pits to be like, oh, he has an extra lap of fuel that I don't have. He's definitely going to be faster on the pit lane, so I definitely have to push a little bit more. So both aspects are really good to see, and well, we're gonna find out eventually which one is gonna come true, if Miranda's gonna pit first or Melcher's gonna pit first.
Let's listen for a clutch here in Blanchemont. No clutch, he doesn't lift. What about a clutch maybe into the bus stop? Clutch there. Clutch is in, you saw the revs drop. See, the racer in me hears that, and that's where my focus goes. And it's hard to explain, JP, but when you get into that kind of mode of planning out a run like this, you really do just kind of focus in on it. I'm sure it's what's happening here with Andre Melchers and Victor Miranda. The other reason, of course, battling burns fuel, but the other reason you don't want to battle while trying to save fuel is because you don't have the brain power to do it usually. There's so much going on in the car, and these guys definitely very focused right now on saving as much as they can. I wonder if we go on board with Victor into Lacombe, if he's potentially putting the clutch in and saving as well.
Oh yeah, he's definitely gonna have to do it. Otherwise, he would just be. Yeah, you can see around 8,000 revs, and it's just gonna drop.
No clutch there.
Wow, so Victor maybe not saving around, this section of the racetrack, but he has to be saving. Otherwise,
short shift.
Is gonna have.
He just short shifted. I did hear that.
So you can see the fuel saving aspect even got to our head, so the drivers are definitely thinking about it, and I'm pretty sure Melchers is just trying to hit a number at this point in time, not thinking about the overtaking, the number 17 ahead, just trying to hit a certain fuel number, a certain lap, and essentially just going for it. He knows the last part of the race is the most important. You're not going to make up points with 27 minutes to go. You're only going to make up points as soon as the checker flag drops, so thinking about the long term is essential at this time in the race.
For the fellow racers out there, we're leaving this one go with just an onboard so you can hear what he's doing. He is short shifting a little bit. These are the kind of moments I feel like this championship is going to come down to. These mind games. Saving a little bit, short shifting a little bit, flipping the clutch in a little bit. These are the little techniques, the little details on the season that sprinkle in like salt and pepper that are going to make the difference in the sauce, right? This is where things start to come together. These little things are going to make a very, very big impact come Red Bull Ring as far as who wins this championship and who unfortunately has to go home without any kind of hardware.
Absolutely. This is... Yeah, I mean, it will come down to this, and we saw a championship. We saw how close the last season wasn't it, Andrew? I mean, coming down to the last race, the last few laps, it was just so crazy, and I'd expect more of the same. But yeah, this is a crazy, crazy season. It's still quite a long ways to be finished, and I cannot wait to see what's going to happen. And, well, this battle as well, I cannot wait to see who's going to come out on top. We have Faria, Zabadil, and Matthew Dench battling, and they're all within the same second.
There's also Neto Nascimento and Blake Scott. Well, actually, I saw them light up because, well, Blake Scott is pitting here. So Blake Scott's into the pit lane, car 166. And Curtis Jones is going to follow. So some of the drivers a little further back in the field maybe haven't been able to save anything. They're starting to come in and split it right at halfway, or at least as close as they can get. Looks like John Sedlak is... no, he's still out there. There was one other car that I thought had come in, but maybe not. Mikkel Rudebusch in a nice little battle here, side by side with Luke Krause still. And there's side by side, or at least there was, behind them for a moment with Fabio Zamperlini and Alexander Torchio, and contact there with Rudebusch and Krause.
Yeah, these two are fighting really, really hard for the position, and we love to see it. At least I love to see it. Obviously, I'm not pretty sure if they're going to be really happy about it, but it's a really good battle to follow, and Mikkel is doing a fantastic job defending. I mean, no question about it. He's still maintaining Luke Krause just behind him, so a really, really strong job by Mikkel Rudebusch.
This would be for position number 12 if Luke can ever get it. It's been one heck of a battle, one heated battle for a long, long time now, so even I'm starting to wonder if Luke is actually going to get the spot. Mikkel has just been, he's been the Ryan Newman of this series today, and if you don't know what I mean, Ryan Newman's a NASCAR driver that for a long time was known for being tough to pass. Fabio Zamperlini was tough to pass up until contact there. Alessandro Torchio hits him a little bit. and we didn't quite see it happen, so I don't want to put blame on anybody, but the contact there, Fabio into the dirt, gets back on, and continues on. And worth mentioning, actually, Fabio Zamperlini this week was announced as a new member of the admin team here for the North American Racing League. So a big step up there for Fabio, joining the admin crew. And I'm not entirely sure exactly what that means as far as his day-to-day duties, but I know that he's now a much larger part of this series, and it's very well deserving.
Absolutely, the reigning champion. I mean, he's part of the series, you know. He's been here since season 1. He obviously won the first season, so I mean, I'm really happy for him. Really, I mean, kind of proud, actually, not gonna lie. And I mean, it's just good to see, you know, drivers stepping up to these roles, as we have, looks like a spinner just outside Paulo Ricobeni, just outside. Is that the final corner? No, that's the final section, just outside of Fanya coming into campus. So unfortunately for him, and the gap to the leader, Andrew, has really closed up. It was half a second. Look at this.
Very close here, Andre Melchers and Victor Miranda. And we've seen this historically, haven't we, this season, where right when a driver is about to pit, they start to push. They push for that lap, see if they can get that spot, see if they can hustle the driver ahead, and then they come in and pit. So watch for Melchers potentially to pit this lap or the next lap.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm pretty sure we saw this at Daytona, maybe, wasn't it? Yeah, Melcher just passing Victor
and
pitting.
Saw it last week in some capacity. Maybe that was Road Atlanta with the GT3 cars, but we've seen this strategy as of late.
Yes, absolutely. And obviously, you're just putting the driver ahead of you into a bit more pressure. Obviously, you know, running, you know, within, what, a tenth and a half, 2/10 of a second, you know, just filling essentially that mirror with your Porsche logo kind of puts the driver ahead of you under a lot of pressure. And obviously, you know, if he makes a mistake, that's a free position for you. If he doesn't, well, you tried. But if you're coming down to the pit lane, it's not really going to change a lot.
Let's go on board with second place, Andre Melchers here. What does he do the back end of this lap? 22 minutes and change to go. Mind games. Chess at 100 and some miles an hour. In fact, 160 here before they lift for Blanchimont. Just holding on to the edge of the mechanical grip there. Clutches back in. Revs drop all the way down. Back down through the gears into the bus stop here. Does he pit? No, he's going to stay out at least one more lap. Now they have run 12 laps as of this start-finish line right here, which means they have 10 laps to go, thereabouts. Clutching again into Lasource, and he is being aggressive at this point. He's being aggressive as far as pressuring, but also being aggressive as far as saving everything he can. And even in these slower speed sections, JP, the draft is going to matter. The draft is still wind resistance, and it's going to make a difference as Samsoid is into the pit lane.
So there we go, even more cars down in the pit lane. So definitely the pit window is wide open at this stage. Only a few cars elected to come down this early. So I wonder if this is just a bit of strategy from Samson, just the few cars ahead of him. We're kind of slowing him down. We're just going to have to wait and see. Remember, we're chasing 11.57 from Louis Santi. We're just going to have to wait to see if Samsoid can beat that. And there you go, 11.2. So 0.3 of a second quicker. It's already a difference.
And a position change for the race lead at the end of the Kemmel Straight. Andre Melchers takes advantage of Victor Miranda, gets on by, and takes the race lead. I would expect car 25 to pit this time towards the end of the lap, and Victor Miranda now has a chance to save a little bit of fuel. It might be a negligible difference, but it also could be that little bit that gets him out of the bus stop potentially to win this race. You never know. And if you're Victor Miranda, you've got to go ahead and save what you can here. Mikael Ritterbusch, Luke Krause still nose to tail, albeit a bit more separated. And no, they're not nose to tail. Luke Krause is falling well back, actually, starting to fall back as Alessandro Torchio goes by. That was actually Rafael Bonifacio that I saw with Mikael Ritterbusch. This is now for the 10th position, car 22 coming alive.
Yes, the pace is really good by Mikael Ritterbusch. Only a few tenths of a second outside of the top 10. He started in 16th place, so 5 positions up, you know, a net gain of 5 positions. Really good job for him so far, and it looks like it's very far from over, Andrew. I don't think Mikael is done right where he is. I'm pretty sure he's going to be maybe even fighting with Brady Lubinell by the end of the race. And, well, coming back to the lead, we're going to have to see if the number 25 elects to come down in the pit lane. If he doesn't, Andrew, this could be also a strategy by Victor to essentially just, well, let Andre, he wants to lead, let him lead for a few laps, save a little bit of extra fuel, and no, they both keep on going. So, yeah, interesting.
So our top 2 stay on the racetrack. What does Bernardo Faria do? Stay out. Zavadil stays out. Matthew Dench, though, he's going to change things up a little bit. He's going to go ahead and come in and pit and take service on his number 83 car for 5-Star Motorsport. He's been fantastic since picking up this new team with 5-Star. We've seen Jason Cooper, Casper DeCourt, and Lars Fischer reap the benefits over in the British Sim Racer Series. I really enjoy seeing this for Matthew Dench. And position change up ahead as well. Bernardo Faria gives way to Lawrence Zavadil. How about that?
There you go, and even down into La Source, looks like, as Luke Krause as well, looks like he makes his way down the pit lane, looking again for 11.5. Scott Kimbrough as well, so getting quite agitated. 10.8 by Matthew Dench, so a really quick stop, and I wonder, Andrew, if he's gambling on the fuel side.
Facio in and out as well. Sam Sweat on his own deal. Here's looking at Nicolas Cemento in the pit lane taking service. When does he leave? He's been mired well back in the field today. I wouldn't be surprised if, a little bit of extra fuel there, 11.97. Kimbrough gets out just ahead of Bonifacio. Or not Bonifacio, not Cemento. I'm getting the name fixed up now. Santi comes back on the track just ahead of him. So, Laui Santi, the first car that we saw in the pit lane, gets out ahead of those two, Kimbrough and Nascimento. Matthew Dench shorts into 12th position for now. We'll see how that changes. And of course, eyes have got to turn towards the front of this field. Zavadil and Faria, they are doing battle, it looks like. This is for third. Oh, Faria aggressive into Lafayette.
There you go, down the inside. He gets the move done. Zavadil looks like he doesn't fight too hard. He knows kind of this is not really his battle. Just trying to stick with Faria. Maybe trying to even get a little bit of extra mileage. But Faria with a really good, really confident move. Gets that position, gets the final step of the podium back. And Andrew, the drivers ahead of them, 10 seconds ahead of third place. Do they both come down in the pit lane in this lap? I mean, obviously they're stretching the fuel tanks. We're kind of used to it, but I wonder, it's just not Road Atlanta, a really short racetrack. This is Spa-Francorchamps, well over 7 kilometers, and there we go. Victor Miranda comes down in the pit lane, and I wonder if we're going to have more cars following him.
I would imagine so. Bernardo Faria, does he come in? Yes. Zavadil, does he come in? Yes. Scully comes in. Godice comes in. Lubenow stays out. What about Ruderbusch? A slew of cars coming into pit here with 17 minutes to go. Mikel's going to come in. What about Torquio? For Juncos Esports. Yes, he's in. How about Zamperlini? Yes, he's in. Michael, maybe. Does he come in? Yes, he does.
Yeah, that's the difference between Road Atlanta.
That's a long stop.
Yeah, that's a long stop. So maybe he wasn't actually fuel saving at all. So that gap, that 11.98, that's gonna hurt him. 11.7 to Faria as well as 12, 11.3, 16 seconds from Zavadil. Fabio Zamperlini, we're gonna take a look. But Andrew, we're seeing this many cars because obviously with over 7 kilometers on the racetrack,
your options are limited,
Yes, your options are limited. It's really hard to save an extra lap of fuel around here. It's not as easy as Road Atlanta maybe, but so it just highlights the job that this guy has been doing, for the first time, managing to save over 7 kilometers of fuel. It's insane.
Reister is also in and out of the pit lane now. A pit time of 11.4 seconds, 31.7 in the lane as a whole. Well, this race is about to take shape, and if you're enjoying things, again, we invite you to follow us over on social media. Some big social media updates headed out on our social channels, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, thanks to Zach Murtis. And glad that Zach Murtis is back with us, by the way, after last week, a bit of a health scare. Glad that he's doing okay. Wasn't anything too crazy, but definitely was something to not take lightly and get taken care of at the time, and we're glad that he did exactly that. We wish he could have been here covering this event last week, but when push comes to shove, health over sim racing, certainly. So we appreciate that he took that into his own hands, got taken care of, and is back here with us this week. And again, you can see his work on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can also follow us on YouTube and Twitch, and we certainly imagine that if you're listening to us, you probably already watch us on one of the two, if not Facebook or Twitter, so just go ahead and hit the follow button, subscribe button, what have you, as here we go. Race leader Andre Melcher is down into the pit lane. 15 minutes to go. What's his pit stop like?
He needs to beat at 11.9 out of Victor Miranda, so it should be smooth sailing. He could even go for even a conservative stop, but I doubt he will. It's Melchers. He should probably, I think we're gonna see a sub 11, maybe a 10 point something. There we go. 10.8, 10.2. So
Oh, we got the wall there.
1.7 seconds. Oh,
He got the wall. Now, oh, I think he turned TC off. He got on it. He gave it the beans out of pit lane. Andre, all right, I like that. He was... I can't believe the way he just exited the pit lane. That was an alpha move I've ever seen. I don't know why it's getting to me so much, but the way he just tore out of the pits. Alrighty then, bud. 3 seconds back to Victor Miranda. Let's pull the reins back in. He's got a massive gap here. Question is, does he back it up at all? Does he use this gap and use this lead?
yeah, absolutely. I was just gonna mention that, we've seen time and time before, especially with the interviews, saying that, drivers that were in the lead, yes, they underfueled the car, and that, led them to save fuel, at least on the first few laps just after the pit stop. So Victor could have taken more fuel to, just knowing that he would lose the lead, to essentially just push on the last few stretch of the race, while Melchers might have to fuel save. I don't think that's the case, but it could definitely be a strategy.
Once more, a big thank you to our partners here with the North American Racing League Virtual Racing School. In fact, I found out 2 weeks in a row now that my subscription myself to VRS renewed on race day here with the North American Racing League. Seems like that worked out in an interesting little way, and I highly recommend everything they have going on. Setup packs, I'm trying to think, setup packs, resource folders, you name it, they've got it. Data packs, that's what I was trying to get to there. They have got so much going right at Virtual Racing School. You've got to check them out. If you want to find speed, the top 2 things here on this list are the top 2 places you need to go. Virtual Racing School and Maradness. The setups, they will absolutely get you most of the way there. Well, part of the way there, I should say. The rest of the way is going to come from Maradness and the driver coaching and everything, even the camaraderie in that Discord and as a team as a whole. That's the other piece, right? There's not just one piece to the puzzle, JP, as far as sim racing goes. There's so much that goes into it, so much that makes you go fast. Yes, the setup is important. Virtual Racing School, check them out. But Maradness is the other part of that. Getting you as a driver up to speed and learning how to make the most out of the setups from VRS and how to make the most out of those data packs. But that's where Maradness really gets you. That's where Daniel Morad and his team will get you winning here on the iRacing.com platform. Tam Livery will make you look good as well. The paint schemes from Tam, seriously, check them out on social media. Top notch. And the work that Tam puts in, that's what I really admire. Paint schemes are one thing. We see a lot of them, JP, but the work that Tam puts in with this series, the social media stuff, it's more than just paint schemes in iRacing and sim racing. It's social media and that presence as well, and especially for a league, Tam Livery gives North American Racing League so much. The social media packages that they put out, that again, that's what I admire. That's what I do here at PitStopTV. That's what I admire from Tam Livery. And of course, JS Consulting. Have messed with some of that with PitStopTV myself and other things. So JS Consulting handling the back end, again, really admirable job. Everybody puts in top-notch effort and really matches the energy and the investments that are put into this series. Everybody just puts in so much hard work here. 11 minutes to go here. And what were you going to go ahead and say?
No, I was just going to mention that the hard work that everybody puts in shows in the quality of the league that we have. It's such a tight field throughout. Great racing, great drivers, great personality, you can say, even the league. And, it's all thanks to those guys. So, a job well done brings a great league with it.
There are certainly dramatic moments. There are certainly moments where we have big crashes. Yes, that's going to happen in sim racing. But in my opinion, biased as it may be, if you want to race either Porsche Cup cars or GT3 on iRacing, this is the place to do it, period. And that's not just because we get to cover the series, but just everything that goes on within this series and everything they do to support the drivers and put together just a really good package of racing is top-notch. If you want to race these cars on iRacing, this is the place to do it. But enough of that. 10 minutes to go in this race. We're coming up to 5 laps to go, actually. Andre Melcher is coming across the line now. We'll make it 5 laps to go. It's go time. If you are not going just yet, you've got to be going. You cannot be saving fuel at this stage in the race. You have got to be giving it, as I said earlier, the full beans. You have got to be on your A game right now. We're seeing that out of some drivers. I think some other drivers having to backpedal a little bit. Matthew Dench up onto the podium. Bernardo Faria has dropped down into 4th, just ahead of Scully and Thomas. And how about Daniel Thomas? A really quiet day out of car 60.
Yeah, quiet day, I guess you can say. That's a tongue twister. But, you know, so far really good. I mean, he started in 11th place. He's currently in 6th, so 5 positions gained. Doing it quietly seems to be the way to go. And just behind him, we might have a battle for the overall Pro-Am lead, I guess you can say. Zavadil really losing a little bit of a gap, and Godai really closing in. But this battle up ahead, Thomas kind of, you know, just running his own race. You can see Scully trying to look down the inside of Faria, not quite close enough.
I like that you mentioned the battle just behind these guys because Zavadil and Godai are very close. In fact, they are almost nose to tail close here for the Pro-Am lead and win. Their next competition in class is all the way down at Rafael Bonifacio in the 12th spot, and that's where he is. He's only out of Malmedy now, so certainly a big gap there for Lawrence Zavadil and Paul Godai to race with. And Godai has got to bring the fight. You know, you're getting down to the last 4 laps of this race. You've got to go.
Absolutely, and not only on the final 4 or 5 laps of the race, the final 4 or 5 races in the championship as well. So,
yeah,
you know, being second place, you really need to overtake the guy that is ahead of you, not only in the racetrack, but also in the points. So you really need to get those points over him. You really need to get, you know, the hammer down. You really need to put your head down and just focus on those laps and, well, get those overtakes going. As you can see, this nice little train of cars, Andrew. And one other thing that I love about this, you know, you can see how much practice a lot of people are putting into these races because the lines are pretty much exactly the same. It's like seeing a train running.
Yep, and that comes from those data packs from VRS and the driver coaching from Moradness. So, again, speaking testaments to that kind of stuff, this is the effort they put in. This is the result of it. These drivers are on their A game. They've got things figured out. And let's see what they can do here. Back into this race, inside of 8 minutes to go. Car 91 here, that's Bernardo Faria. Car 24, Scully. Oh, the 60 of Thomas was sideways there between the apexes. Gets it back under control. These 5 cars, I don't think they're going to end the race this way.
Oh, I don't think so either. And we're seeing a lot, Andrew. We even saw in the Pro-Am race some drivers using a little bit less TC actually, and getting those rear end, you know, kind of alive, especially in the exit of the bus stop. We saw quite a few mistakes happening. So I wonder, coming into the final few laps of the race, if you're feeling that pressure, do you raise a bit of the TC to make sure you're safe, even though you might lose a little bit of time?
You know, that's a good question. The problem with raising TC is if you get to where you chatter the TC, you actually do yourself more harm than good, and not just in terms of lap time. It comes down to terms of handling it at that point. It's a lot to deal with, and if you chatter that TC, you know, yeah, it's a thing. It's a whole thing. Very tough to hang on to, and that's where you start to get the rear wheels kind of, as I say, chattering. They accelerate and then kind of coast. Accelerate, kind of coast, and so it just messes with the rate transfer in the rear of the car, and I think that's the best way to put it, maybe. I'm not great at explaining things all the time, but it's definitely a problem if you do chatter that TC, so you got to be careful not to, you know, add too much. As here we go, Thomas has a look. This is going to be fun. Scully and Thomas battling for the 5th position, so a top 5 at stake as Faria starts to pull away, and then you have the Pro-Am win battle right behind.
Yeah, this is a fantastic battle to see. You can see Scully kind of feeling a little bit of that pressure. Thomas kind of getting a little bit impatient, I guess you can say. Really getting close to that bumper. Really trying to go for moves in places we don't really expect. So a really good seeing. You can see Zavadil again trying to, you know, just maybe look down the inside of Thomas. And obviously Godai just behind him, trying to get past Zavadil. So it's a line, it's a train. Scully is leading. Right now it looks like he just lost the slipstream to Faria, so he could be a sitting duck, especially on this back straightaway.
Nose to tail here for the 5th position. You see Godai run into the grass just a little bit. Oh, Zavadil runs a bit wide out of Blanchimont. We're going to have a really good battle here. These 4 cars are going to put on one heck of a show on the last few laps here at Spa. But we're staying right here. Daniel Thomas setting up for what is going to be one cool battle here for 5th place. And of course, Zavadil and Godai right behind. That is for your Pro-Am win. Thomas, does he have a look down to the inside of the source? Not just yet. Things are about to get spicy.
Yes, on the exit of La Source, he's going to be, well, essentially getting a good enough run, not being too close to the car in front to essentially lose that slingshot effect they might get at the slipstream. So he's just in the perfect distance, looks like. And look at the run that he's going to get on the exit of the Radion. Just as I mentioned that, it looks like his car jumped a little bit on the curb, Andrew. So any run that he might have gotten, it looks like it kind of got killed by that jump.
So no pass here at the end of the Kemmel Straight. Zavadil holds tough over Godai. Let's actually go on board with Godai here. Paulo, he's sat so far back in this battle. I don't know exactly what his move here is to the end of the race. I think he's got the pace to go up there and fight, but he is being so conservatory. Is that the word? He's conserving a lot, is what I'm trying to say here. He's just really holding himself back. I don't know if he's going to be able to set this move up the right way.
Yeah, he's being very safe, isn't he? He's just keeping, that half a second, 6/10 of a gap to the driver in front. Obviously, that's really good, but with 3 minutes to go, Andrew, your championship rival just ahead, you don't want to be half a second, 6/10 away. You really want to be up his bumper, don't you? Just applying that pressure, trying to force him into a mistake. And if the opportunity comes, you just want to be there to take it.
Alternatively, if you're Godai, maybe sit here and wait for an issue, because if the two ahead do get side by side, that's likely going to back Lawrence up to you. So maybe he's got the right plan after all. We don't know exactly yet, as 3.5 minutes are left to go here today. Andre Melchers into the bus stop for the final time. He will take 2 laps to go right here. Oh, man. What a race it's been. What a race it has been. A 4-second race lead here for Andre Melchers. I think Victor Miranda has accepted that it's just not going to happen today. It's just not his day to get a win yet. But you know what? It could be his day to go pull the points lead. We don't know yet.
Oh, with the way that the race has gone, Luke Krause in 15th place. Obviously it's too early to count, but I think the number 17 might be looking good to get that championship lead back. Obviously, Melchers. Yeah, true. It depends on the drop as well. And obviously, Melchers is going to be really good getting the win back, getting all those points back, especially after 2 bad weeks. So, a good haul of points, and it's really going to shake up the championship quite a bit.
Let's fall back to these guys who are shaking things up themselves again for 5th and 6th. Scully and Thomas. Scully starting to drive away in that Greencoast Esports number 24 car. Oh, did you see Zavadil there? He is hanging it out. He knows what's behind him. He knows Paulo Godai is starting to think about wanting to take that race win away. Last 2 laps here, Godai very deep into Lacombe, right up to the back end of the 124 car. He's there.
That's what we like to see. That's what we were mentioning. Maybe he's watching the stream, so go for it. Go for the gap if it opens, because you're definitely close enough. Looks like you definitely have the confidence under braking, so just get close enough. You only have, 1.5 laps to go, so this is the time to do it.
Yeah, they're seeing each of these corners for one of the final 2 times today. There's another battle further back. Bonifacio and, Bonifacio's behind Rudebush and Samsoid now, who are really duking it out. This is, again, for the top 10 for Rudebush. He wants to get into this top 10. He wants to, there's a few lines of stats, right? There's obviously win, then there's top 3, then there's top 5, then there's top 10. And that top 10 means a lot to you as a driver. It might only be 1 position over 11th, but it means a lot to have that stat line and to get that top 10, even if it only is 1 position on the racetrack. So, Mikel Rudebush certainly putting the pressure on Samsoid at this point. And I can only imagine the stream cheering David on right now, cheering him to just hold on to that spot. Just keep his cool. Just hang on to things here as the time winds down. Andre Melchers back into the circuit. White flag presented by Whiplash SimCams.
Last time out, he'll need to go around Spa, at least on his Porsche Cup car. The last time he'll have to do it today. And boy, oh boy, Andrew, with 4 seconds, having that healthy of a gap, he can afford to take it a little bit easy. He can allow even Victor Miranda to essentially catch up to him. But just as I mentioned, the gap goes to 4.5 seconds. So maybe a mistake by Victor. Maybe Melchers is just pushing to set the fastest lap of the race on the final lap. And look at that, we're seeing moves. We're seeing, is that Paulo Godai essentially filling up the mirrors of Zavadil?
I'm not sure what he was doing there. Maybe just trying to, I don't know. I really don't know exactly. But yeah, he swerved way out to the inside there for a moment. As our race leader is into Lacombe, he'll run through Malmedy here and wrap up turn 7 for the final time today. Just a really, really good day of racing for car 25. This is what he needed. Remember, he had that big hit to the internet and connection and confidence on Thursday at Road Atlanta in the first race, the opening race of the GT3 Series for season number 3. He needs this kind of run. Car 25 needs this, and this is definitely going to put him right back on top of the series, potentially, as far as power goes. And you see Victor Miranda second place, Matthew Dench in third. Bernardo Faria has driven away from the battle we're about to see in fourth, and then you get Manuel Scully, and look at that, Daniel Thomas right on the back end.
It's a really good battle, and on the final lap, this is essentially all or nothing for these drivers. You know, they have been chasing their competition ahead and obviously defending from the competition behind. This is the time to do it. You know, all that preparation, all that studying that you have been doing on the driver ahead, this is what it comes down to. So we could be seeing moves in the next few corners. Looks like Zavadil went a bit too wide on the entry of Pouhon. Could cost him. We could see Paulo just going down the inside. Yeah, not too close, but Andrew with a few corners to go. The opportunities, you know, are, well, they're less. You know, there's just less and less opportunities by every single corner. Not a single less opportunity for this guy, though. He's definitely going to win, it looks like.
Andre Melchers with a 5-second race lead into the final corners of the day. And the final corners at Spa is going to leave Belgium a 3-time race winner this season. Congratulations, Andre Melchers. That is big for Car 25. A 5-second margin victory back to Victor Miranda. Matthew Dench will come home third here in just one moment. Let's check in on this battle. Down to the chicane for the final time. Can Daniel Thomas do anything? Is he close enough? Not quite yet at turn in. Can he do anything at the second apex? No. And Zavadil will take another win in Pro-Am. Really, really mega runs throughout the entire top 10 here.
Absolutely fantastic. Samso is still trying to defend from Rudebush, who goes too deep under braking, and he's going to lose 11th place as well to Bonifacio.
Here's another battle. Luke Krause on Alessandro Torchio through the final couple of corners, and nothing can be done there. Last week's winner and 2-time winner. I might have shouted out Andre as having 2 wins. No, it's Luke Krause with 2 wins. 2-time winner this season. Or no, they both do. Point being, 15th. That is not what you want as a championship contender. That is not what you can have happen. If he has an issue, and we saw it, it could just be connection as you're leading the race even. If he has an issue this season, this could be what holds Luke Krause back from a championship. We could have to harken back to race number 5 at Spa, where he simply did not have it. I don't know any other way to put it other than he simply did not have it today. He's got 2 wins in the season, the last 2 weeks, in fact, at Long Beach and Hungaroring. The 2 weeks before that, of course, those were Andre Melchers, but he's had it, and now he doesn't.
Yeah, absolutely. This could be very, very costly towards the end of the season as soon as all the drop weeks are, you know, accounted for. And boy, Andrea, I mean, you put it in a pretty good way. You know, it could come down to this bad race. It could cost him the championship. So a difficult rest of the season. He needs to be on top of his game, but well, it's only going to make things more interesting for us.
There is so much that can happen to Luke Krause in the next 3 weeks, especially at Charlotte next week. Let's not forget Road Atlanta and how chaotic it could be there, and even Red Bull Ring. 3 very tough racetracks to go. None of them are going to be easy. One small misstep, and Luke Krause could lose a shot at this championship. Let's go ahead and fire up race interviews here, as we already have a couple of drivers ready to talk to us. And JP, what do you know? It's going to be our race winner first up. Let's go ahead and grab Andre Melchers. Actually, you know what? I see Victor Miranda there, and I had just shouted out to you. Let's go ahead and give you Victor Miranda. We'll get Andre in just 1 second. I'm sure Victor's going to be a bit dejected.
Então, Victor, mais uma vez, essa vitória acabou escapando. Conta pra gente como é que foi a corrida.
Fala, João. Corrida difícil, mas já sabia que ia acontecer no final. Sabia que o André estava bem rápido e essa pista o vácuo puxa bastante. E sabia que ele estava economizando atrás. Mas como a minha briga no campeonato é com o Luke Krause, decidi continuar com ritmo forte para abrir do segundo e do terceiro e garantir o segundo lugar, porque já tinha a pole, já tinha os 2 pontos da pole. Então foi uma corrida mais pensando no campeonato do que na vitória por si só, porque eu não economizei nada. Ali para tentar alguma vitória era economizar junto com ele, mas aí teria que deixar o terceiro e o quarto chegarem, enfim, ia correr mais riscos. Mas muito feliz com o ritmo, consegui fazer uma pole aqui que achei que estava bem difícil, ele estava bem rápido. E é isso, uma corrida bem estratégica, difícil. O pneu degradou muito nessa pista aqui em Spa, que exige muito do carro. E queria agradecer aqui os brasileiros que estão acompanhando, agradecer o pessoal que corre com a gente no campeonato, o Fábio, o Paulo que chegou em segundo aí também quase conseguiu uma vitória, o Bonifácio que chegou em terceiro aí na M, o Fábio, a galera lá, e agradecer a equipe Energy Sim Sport, cada vez mais próximo aí do topo.
Com certeza foi uma corrida ótima e, obviamente, pensando no campeonato, foi a escolha certa, mas a gente ainda com certeza quer te ver, sabe, ganhando uma corrida. Queremos falar com você como ganhador, mas antes de eu deixar você ir concentrar para a semana que vem, cara, para a corrida de semana que vem em Charlotte, no Roval, como é que vai ser a estratégia de treino aí?
Cara, Charlotte vai ser uma loucura, se você quer saber, vai ser desviar as batidas, fazer um setup e um carro confortável para guiar os 50 minutos, fugir dos muros e contar um pouco com a sorte, né? Porque se fechar a pista na frente não tem muito o que fazer. Tem aqui alguns outros compromissos entre a próxima corrida, tem a corrida GT3 aqui da North American Racing League, também tem as 12 horas de Sebring aí, talvez que a gente vai fazer, então tem alguns outros compromissos, mas foco total e tentar sobreviver.
Com certeza, Victor. Então, espero falar contigo na quinta-feira, daqui 2 dias, na corrida GT3. Se não, com certeza vamos conversar em Charlotte. E dito isso, boa sorte, ótimo treino e espero falar contigo na próxima.
Thank you.
So, Andrew, that was Victor Miranda. Couple of interesting things to take away from the interview. The race was hard, and he already knew from the get-go that, Melchers was going to save a lot of fuel and was most likely going to jump him down into the pit lane. So at that point in time, he decided to think about the long term, think about the championship and not the race itself. So, you were right. He just didn't save enough fuel. He just didn't save. He was just trying to push away from third place, create that gap to be safe, after the pit stops. And yeah, so he was just happy about the pace. He was happy about pole position. He did not expect, and he said by the end of the race, the tires were absolutely shot. The tire wear was very, very bad, at least on his car. Thinking about next week, obviously he mentioned that the Roval is going to be crazy. It's going to be avoiding all instance, avoiding the walls as well. He wants a comfortable setup with him to make sure, the car is stable at all times. And he said that, he needs luck. Obviously, running the GT3 League on Thursday and, a few other races is going to be, a bit compromising on his performance, or on his practice, I should say. So, but he's confident enough that it won't affect his performance on the racetrack next week.
From Victor Miranda to the car just in the foreground there, Andre Melchers, 10 laps led. That's just under half of the race led for Andre. And, well, Andre, first off, I got to ask you, I saw a little bit of what happened Thursday after the GT3 race, but what exactly happened? What took you out of contention at Road Atlanta?
Hello. Thursday was not really my day. I sadly got a disconnect there, like 2 laps before the end. It was actually my 24-hour reconnect from the router, and couldn't do anything.
Well, enough of the down kind of portion of the back end of last week. You're beginning this week on the highest of highs. You go out there toe-to-toe with Victor Miranda. You simply save more fuel, take less time in the pit lane, and you emerge with a 3-second race lead. It seemed decently cut and dry for you guys, but what was it like behind the wheel?
I'm honest, it was quite relaxed because my task for this race was just to save fuel, and I was not the guy.
So Charlotte next week, it's going to be a completely different vibe from anything we've had this season. If anything, you can maybe liken it to a cross of Daytona and Long Beach, but it's going to be wild. We know that things are going to happen. We know that nobody is going to escape completely scot-free. What's your approach to race number 6 on the schedule? And I wonder if that was Andre's 24-hour reconnect, because it seems that we have lost him. And wouldn't that be ironic if his interview was cut off by the same thing that cut him out of the race when it's about that right time. It's about the same time as he got dropped out of the Road Atlanta session. Huh. I don't really have a whole lot of words. We will go ahead and we will make sure to bring Andre back in if he gets back in, but we will go ahead and move things down the line. Then let's go ahead and bring in Paulo Godoy, JP, second place in Pro-Am. Here he comes.
Fala, Paulo, mais uma corrida forte para você, mais um segundo lugar na Pro-Am. Infelizmente, um pouquinho só atrás do Lawrence. Conta como é que foi a corrida.
Boa noite, João. Boa noite a todo mundo que tá assistindo. Realmente a gente bateu na trave de novo. Bateu na trave no quali. Eu errei a segunda volta do quali, infelizmente. Uma volta que tava vindo muito boa para me colocar um pouco mais na frente. Eu acho que teria um pouco mais de chance de acompanhar o pelotão inicial ali para poder desvencilhar um pouco, né, do Lawrence e do pelotão da Pro-Am. Mas estou bem feliz com o resultado. Querendo ou não, foi uma pista que a gente... Spa é uma pista clássica, né? A gente gosta de andar aqui. O carro estava muito bom também, estava me sentindo confortável em pilotar. Consegui fazer uma economia de combustível bacana, a ponto de conseguir inclusive sair na frente do Lawrence no pit. Isso foi muito bom. Só que assim que eu saí, a gente saiu muito colado, junto com mais dois pilotos. E o tempo que a gente foi perdendo ali por estar seguindo, e começou uma disputa na minha frente de leve, o tempo que eu consegui tirar do Lawrence no box acabou que ele voltou novamente. E aí não tem o que fazer, é disputar a posição e tentar alguma coisa. E ele foi muito limpo nas disputas que a gente teve, como sempre, na verdade, e acabou mandando a melhor, né? Como os dois tinham vácuo do pelotão da frente, a gente ficou num comboio, todo mundo junto, então não tinha muita ação. Eu acho que todos os carros já estavam quase que nivelados ali na frente em relação à velocidade final, então não tinha muito o que fazer, era talvez esperar algum erro e ter a chance de novo de tentar alguma coisa. Mas enfim, tô bem feliz de novo, uma cadência de resultados muito boa, acho que isso que é o mais importante, independente se é primeiro ou segundo. Obviamente a gente tá sempre querendo, né, pegar o primeiro, isso é fato, mas manter uma cadência de resultados para mim é bem importante, né, e eu fico feliz por isso. No mais, eu quero agradecer o pessoal do Brasil de novo, né, sempre a gente tá andando junto ali em todas as corridas, né, então o pessoal, o Zampa, o Victor Miranda, Kadek, Lauí, todo o time ali, DHR, enfim, né, o pessoal da Energy ali representado pelo Victor, o Jeff também, né, a gente nunca pode esquecer, ele entra ali, dá uns toques pra gente e tudo, então sempre sai alguma coisinha, um pelinho ali, porque a gente tem uma referência como ele, né. Além disso, eu quero agradecer quem vem assistir, muitos amigos que apoiam, né, em especial hoje eu quero mandar um abraço pro meu primo, que tá sempre me acompanhando aí, primeira vez que eu acho que ele tá assistindo a transmissão daqui da PitStopTV, né, que é o Juan. Então, um beijo, primo. E, obviamente, meu pai também tá bem pertinho aqui, assistindo, vibrando. E é bem legal sentir essa vibração aí positiva que quem tá apoiando sempre dá. Beleza? Semana que vem a gente espera vir de novo com bons resultados. E quem sabe, então, beliscar esse primeiro lugar. Tá bom? Patrocinadores: o Race, Real Drive, Sensa VR, Motorbull e Comida do Dia, sempre apoiando aí pra gente estar nesse nível que a gente tá andando aí. É graças a esses parceiros, esses patrocinadores que sempre tá nos apoiando. Tá bom, João? É isso.
Com certeza, Paulo. Espero semana que vem falar contigo direto da primeira posição, ouvir um pouco mais essa torcida, mas com certeza vamos conversar mais semana que vem. Tomara que venha essa vitória e o campeonato no futuro, mas com isso, boa sorte e espero falar contigo semana que vem.
Fechado. A gente vai dar de tudo aí pra conseguir chegar forte e levar esses melhores pontos e buscar no final das contas, na verdade, o campeonato, né? Obrigado, João, pela torcida. Obrigado por estar apoiando o Brasil também.
Com certeza. Well, Andrew, that was Paulo. He was pretty happy with the race itself. Obviously, second place in class, you cannot really go wrong with that. He he just kind of messed up a bit of qualifying. He mentioned he was in a really good lap, but ended up, just making a small mistake, which ended up costing him a bit of time and obviously a few positions. He was very happy with the race. Obviously, he mentioned that Spa, is a classic circuit and you really want to do well around here. So he was pretty good. He said the setup was pretty solid and the fuel saving was actually excellent until one point he actually jumped Lawrence Zavadil just ahead of him, but unfortunately due to just battling, Lawrence was able to catch up back again, and at that point it was just battling for position. He lost that advantage that he built. And that point, on this shot especially, we can see, a lot of drivers, especially on the slipstream, it's really hard to make up ground. So you kind of need to force the driver ahead of you into a mistake and really be confident on it. So he said, it was a bit difficult to make up those moves, but, he's happy with second place. It's a good string of results, and he wants to do better next week.
The Paulo Garay certainly can only go up from here. I think, I shouldn't say can only go up from here, but has one more position to gain next week, and I think certainly has a really good chance of doing so. Let's go ahead and go to then race winner in Pro-Am, Lawrence Zavadil, right there in frame. How about that car 124? Lawrence has been so good this season. And Lawrence, I think you're starting to flirt with the line of getting promoted to pro here. You're starting to get a whole lot closer. We did notice at one point you were 1/100th off of pole. Was that by design?
No, I knew that there were 3 to 4 guys faster than me, and I was really struggling towards the end of practice to put down good times. I definitely could have done a much faster qualifying time. I was doing 2:17s in practice before, but I was just struggling there at the beginning. So that's just ended up how it went.
So what is it about Spa, or at least Hungaroring and Spa, it seems, that brings car 124 alive? What is it about these two courses? You were already good in the first 3 races, but these last 2 races, my goodness, you were just on rails.
They're both very flowing circuits and require being very, very smooth, and that's something that I'm starting to get down quite a bit with all my training and everything. So it just fits my driving style very well, holding momentum as much as possible.
So Charlotte, to me, feels like skiing almost. Got to jump in and out of the moguls. Is that a place that fits into that, or is that not really your cup of tea? How do you feel about Charlotte next week, race number 6?
I've raced Charlotte before. I definitely struggle a good bit there, so it's definitely going to be a long week of practice to try and keep up this kind of pace. But overall, fantastic start to the season, and hopefully I can keep it up.
And you're starting to amass these Pro-Am wins. Are you starting to think about that promotion that's got to be coming at some point at the end of the season? Or are you starting to think about Pro next season maybe? I mean, it's coming, right? It's definitely coming.
I mean, hopefully at the end of the season. I don't want to jump up too soon. But, I mean, at the same time, being promoted to Pro would be absolutely awesome. But at the same time, I foresee much greater competition.
Well, there you go, Lawrence Zavadil, another Pro-Am win, and I think in commanding fashion once more. Look forward to talking to you, I'm sure, next week at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Until then, best of luck and have fun practicing. It's going to be rough.
Thanks, guys.
That's Lawrence Zavadil after winning in Pro-Am, and it's definitely going to be rough next. I think just getting prepared for next week, it's going to be one of the toughest races on these drivers. And now that we do have Andre back from his 24-hour reconnect, we can talk more about his 24-hour reconnect. Is that something you can change a little bit, or is that maybe going to impact the rest of these GT3 races?
I think it's going to be impact the future races as well, sadly. Problem is I can't do anything in the settings of the router. It is how it is, and yeah, it's like a bit of gambling if I get a reconnect at the end of the race or not, and yeah, but sadly nothing I can do there.
Well, let's talk about this season. You've now got 3 wins on this season and starting to pull ahead in that category, but missing some points after a couple of races have gone awry. What do you do at Charlotte, Road Atlanta, and Red Bull Ring to get that back?
The same what I did in the last races as well. I will practice a lot and will keep pushing in every single race. And yeah, I mean, for the championship, there's not any chance anymore for me, sadly, because of the last 2 races where I didn't get, or where I barely didn't get any points. But yeah, we'll look forward to still score some points in the future races.
Well, Andre, it's been a lot of fun talking to you. 10 laps led, kind of lead the back half of this race. It seems like you're off to a good start with the back half of the season as well. Congratulations on another race win, and we'll talk to you, I'm sure, next week after Charlotte.
Thank you.
It was Andre Melchers after another race win this season, JP. Let's go ahead and look through our race results. Still unofficial, things could change, but this is how they stand after 50 minutes of racing. Andre up top, Victor Miranda there in second, Matthew Dench third. That's your podium.
That was a really good race by those guys. Matthew Dench, obviously with that late, I guess, comeback race, especially the strategy really helped him. So a really good podium for him. Bernardo Faria finished in 4th place ahead of Manuel Scoli. Daniel J. Thomas in 6th place. Lawrence Sabadell in 7th, winning the Pro-Am class ahead of Paulo Godoy. Brady Lubinow in 9th, and Sam Soyd finishes in 10th place.
Flashback to 11th, you'll find car 121. That is Rafael Bonifacio there in one of the Pro-Am cars. Of course, you got Mikel Ritterbusch just behind in 12th. We saw that battle come under the precipice there in the bus stop. That's kind of what all happened there. Fabio Zamperlini in 13th. Alessandro Torchio there in 14th, just, and I mean just, ahead of Luke Krause, who does take 15th spot. Neto Nascimento there in 16th position in car 75. It's Lowy Santi in 17th. Spencer Marsh there in the 18th spot. Scott Kimbrough and James Hansen round out your top 20. Some really good positions, actually, for guys like Rafael Bonifacio. They're in 3rd in Pro-Am. It looks like it's 4th then for Alessandro Torchio, 5th for Lowy Santi, 6th for Scott Kimbrough, and 7th for James Hansen in class.
21st place, we go the ways up John Sadlak, just ahead of Blake Scott. Reed Gibson is going to finish in 23rd place, ahead of Nicholas Michael. M. Taki is going to finish in 25th place. Nick Peterson in 26th. Blaine Sparling in 27th. Scott Reister in 28th. Curtis Jones in 29th. And Paul Riccobene in 30th place.
Finishing 31st, you'll find Giuliano Romagnolo, an early exit there for Stu, unfortunately. Mark Scott along with them. Finishing 33rd, it's Tony Kanaan, and not starting tonight, albeit showing up tonight, Nick Ludicky and Aaron Law, unfortunately, do not make the start of this race, and, well, do not get credit for this evening's event, unfortunately. So that's big for Nick Ludicky as well. You know, let's go ahead and bring up the standings again as we came into tonight and just get an idea of how things were sitting coming in. Ludicky, drop him out potentially. Lubinow should still be in things. We didn't see a whole lot of Brady, actually. Finishes 9th very quietly. I like that. Victor Miranda still very strong. Could take this points lead over. And again, it depends on drop. So Ludicky might still be in, but will be on thin ice. We haven't seen Spencer Kostowitz in a little bit. We don't know that he's going to be back. Spencer Marsh potentially with a good run this evening. Let's see, where did Spencer finish, actually? I know he was in the field 18th, so that's also not what he needed. Fabio Zamperlini almost had a top 10. He finishes 13th. Sam Soyd with a top 10. Things are going to change a lot on the pro side, and you know, as far as the Pro-Am side, things are still wide open, but only for the top 2 or 3 spots. I think Lauren Zavadil, Paulo Godoy could either of them could get on a run here to the end of the season and could win some races and put some points together. After that, it's going to be a little bit tough for guys like Scott Kimbrough and Rafael Bonifacio to make up these points that they're starting to lose.
Yeah, absolutely. The next few races are promising. Obviously, Andrew, I'm going to wait until the points update because I'm quite interested to see how, you know, everything is going to shake up. You know, which positions are going to change, who's going to be on top, who's going to end up losing. But yeah, next week, you know, especially in a track like Charlotte, it's going to be lots of fun to see even then how the championship and how some drivers will tackle the racing.
And you can see the back end of this season, 3 races to go. We're getting closer and closer to the month of April. Charlotte Motor Speedway, the final race here in March for the Porsche Cup schedule. Then it's Road Atlanta on April 5th. We're skipping April 12th, and we'll be back on April 19th for the Red Bull Ring in Austria. Really good set of racetracks to finish out the schedule, but it's going to be really tough on these drivers. This was the time to relax a little bit. We'll see how things go the next couple of weeks, especially next week at Charlotte. It is going to be rough. And I think either one of the two of Road Atlanta and Red Bull Ring, one of those two will be chaotic, and one of them might be a little more calm, and I don't know which just yet. We've seen chaotic races at both before, and we've seen calm races at both before, and I really feel like one will be wild, one maybe not so much, and I'm excited to see which. We do have a lot of broadcasts coming up here at PitStopTV, and we certainly hope you join us for those as well. Here's a look into the future. Wednesday evening, that's tomorrow evening, in less than 24 hours. In fact, in about 20 hours even, we'll have coverage of the Outlaws Sim Series from the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Carrying on with their season, they are also headed to round number 5, but round number 5 of 36. Thursday afternoon, we've got BSRTC at 4 Eastern, that is 8 p.m. UK. Silverstone. It was wild earlier today, JP. The Miatas definitely tore that place up in a good way. Really good racing, and I can't wait to see the touring cars there. And then, look at that, Sebring, and it's not just Sebring. It is Sebring at night into morning for the GT3 cars. North American Racing League, I continue to be so impressed by everything they do with these seasons and adding these, the night start here at Sebring and the night finish later on in that season at Charlotte. It's going to add to a lot of the fun.
Absolutely. It's going to be so much fun seeing that, day to night transition. Night to day transition, actually, is going to be really fun. And obviously, it's going to bring a new challenge to the drivers, adapting to both circumstances. But obviously, to keep updated with, obviously, the amazing pictures, the news, and obviously the live broadcast, you need to follow us on social media at facebook.com/PitStopTV, twitter.com/PitStopTV_, on instagram.com/pit_stop_TV, and on youtube.com/PitStopTV1.
I do also want to mention, it doesn't stop here. The rest of this week, we still have one more broadcast on Sunday. It'll be a brand new series, the MPI Cup Series. Yes, the Max Pappas Innovations Cup Series is joining us here at PitStopTV. More like we're joining them mid-season to bring some coverage of their series to the channel. Anyways, you got the point. It's going to be a lot of fun teaming up with those guys. NASCAR Next Gen cars, much like with the Outlaws Sim Series, but this time on Sundays. So we got one midweek, we got one at the end of the week. I like how that works out each end of the weekly slate. We'll have some NASCAR Next Gen racing. We open things up with them and our chapter with the MPI Cup Series on Sunday evening at 9 Eastern at Circuit of the Americas. So after you see likely Chase Elliott dominate another road course race in NASCAR, you'll be able to come back over to PitStopTV and check out the same cars, but very different drivers and very different scenarios on the sim at Circuit of the Americas, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And I really am looking forward to this series. It's all getting kicked off this Sunday, again, 9 Eastern. We'll have more periodic coverage throughout the course of their season. In fact, the next race after COTA that we will have, I'll bring up our calendar. The next race after COTA that we'll have with these guys will actually be April 17th. That is Easter Sunday, and that'll be the Cup Series at Bristol Dirt, fitting right in with the NASCAR Cup race at Bristol Dirt that weekend. So it just kind of fits there on Easter weekend to go ahead and take those guys to Bristol Dirt, and then we'll have several races throughout the rest of April, into May, into June, July. Really, the summer swing is where we're going to get our meat and potatoes there with the MPI Cup Series. Enough about them, though. Let's go ahead and wrap things up. JP, any final thoughts you've got from Spa?
It was just a fantastic race. A lot of twists, a lot of turns, actually, on all minis. It was just a fun race. Cannot wait to see what these guys are going to have in store for Charlotte. It's definitely going to be an interesting one and a great challenge for these guys, so next week can't come soon enough.
And we've briefly mentioned an event coming up with the North American Racing League that is starting to loom on these drivers' minds and teams' minds as well. I just noticed it in my calendar, just kind of scrolling through. May 14th and 15th, if you're not aware just yet, the North American Racing League is putting on a 24-hour race. That's right, cash days at Watkins Glen this time around, not at Long Beach. And it's 24 hours. Take the 4-hour we had in September, multiply that by 6 times over. I guess because it's 6 months late. Well, no, 6 months and change. But anyway, multiply that by 6 times over, and we've got a 24-hour race at Watkins Glen, the first 24-hour race that we will ever cover. We won't have full coverage for all 24 hours, but we are working with the series to see just how much we can put in, and I'm very much looking forward to covering that event in any capacity. It's going to be a lot of fun, and certainly one of the more exciting broadcasts we've ever had at PitStopTV, if not the most exciting broadcast that we're able to bring to all of you who, again, like, follow, subscribe, what have you, here at the channel. For all of us at PitStopTV, a big thank you goes out to everybody watching along. I even noticed one Kayla Rondeau out there. A big shout out to all of our fans that are joining us and all of our newer fans as well. Just thank you. Thank you so much for just being here, following along with PitStopTV, hopefully following us on social media and enjoying these broadcasts and letting us know that you feel that we do a good job. It really does mean a whole lot to us. We get messages every week from drivers, teams, fans alike, and it really, really does mean a lot to us and puts that inspiration into us to keep doing this week in, week out, and sometimes day in, day out. JP and I, we've got doubles on Tuesdays and Thursdays the rest of the spring, and it's a whole lot of fun, but man, it does get tiring after a little bit. It does definitely wear on you just a little bit, but it's those kind of messages, those kinds of comments that bring us right back to it and reinvigorate us to keep doing this week in, week out. For all of us at PitStopTV, as I mentioned, JP Costa alongside me all day today, as well as Zach Murdos on our social media channels. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you next time, hopefully tomorrow night, joining Emerson Arden and Devin Kent Zimmerman at the Atlanta Motor Speedway for the Outlaw Sim Series. We'll see you there.